What's up, the internet? It's me, it's Kyle. How's it going? This is part one of our Post-it anniversary special. The experience has been here for 6 months, and I've been in this chair for almost all of it, and my butt really hurts. So, joining me today to help me through this 6-month anniversary is my oft-times co-conspirator and generally the other person who makes this thing go around. She's our social media person who's in charge of all of that, and she's the one who makes sure we all do our jobs so that we can come to you live. I am joined by Jenna.
Hi. And it's
of the
mostly just
two-handed
yelling
wave.
and claps.
Yes. As opposed to the two-handed wave. And we are here with our first guest of the day, a person who I think most often we get mistaken for brothers, if not lovers, but one of my greatest friends and someone that I love so very, very much, great creator and artist, Jarett Walen.
Hi, that was such a nice introduction.
It's true.
Probably nicer than I deserve, but I'll take it.
We look very similar when we're in public together.
It's the good looks.
It is like
Beard.
we are a vibe. So, it's one of those things. So, Jenna, I'm sure you did your research on Jarett.
Oh no!
Jenna's a researcher.
Was I supposed to have this giant piece of paper of notes and stuff on everybody?
Yeah, Jenna's a researcher, but I want to start. I want to start with this.
Ad-lib. I'll ad-lib today.
I want you guys to talk for a minute. Jarett, what color is your beard at the moment?
It's like it's supposed to be like a bright blue, but it turned more of a weird teal, and it's kind of coming out.
It does look good. Yeah. It brings the whole look together. Matches.
It's kind of like a denim color.
I like it.
Yeah.
Jenna, what color is your hair?
It's supposed to be, so the name on the bottle is Wrath, and I mixed it with another one called Poison.
Awesome.
By Arctic Fox. I absolutely love them. They do this deep conditioner for your hair, but it's color depositing.
And an interesting story about me is the reason I don't have any hair is that I killed it when I dyed my hair black for a play. But because my hair was so like light, it turned bright blue, almost like the color of blue highlighter.
I bet that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to school. I had to go to school one day with it, and none of my teachers could look at me in the face. I got out of homework and tests and stuff because teachers were like, "You can't be here. You got to go." So let's talk about real quick, like that kind of identity idea. So, Jarett, how does Jenna does her hair? You do your beard. You wear a unicorn horn at a lot of conventions.
I also curl my mustache, but now
you do curl your mustache,
which I'm not good at. I just like to do it, and it looks fun.
Right. I need to shave my mustache. My barber retired, and I'm all out of sorts. So, but let's talk about branding a little bit. So, how have you, Jarett, as an artist, kind of established your brand? It's a weird question to start with, but
it is because I don't even know if I have. Like, I guess I have. Like, I guess my brand is always, I try to be fun and colorful in everything I put out, at least artistically, and how I present myself at shows. I always pick the most colorful, goofy shit that I can to wear, that I wear at conventions. Like, I had cheetah print shorts on at the last one I was at.
Aww.
And a Jaws t-shirt or tank top. Like, I was definitely looking hot.
I wish I had pictures. I want to see this.
I think I've got some. I'll have to look. But I think with everything I do, I just try to make it bright, colorful, fun. I try not to do anything that's going to insult anyone or cultures, or I try to do art that I think makes the world a better place. And I think I try to revolve my whole shtick around that. Like, I wear the unicorn horn because it's fun. It makes people smile and laugh. You know, every kid that walks by is super excited. You know, it's like I just want to leave the world a little happier than I started in it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
want
I
my
walk by
brand-
the unicorn horn and like I have to boop it when I go by it. Like, I have to.
He does, like every time. Like he'll be sprinting by the show and he'll stop just to beep.
Mhm.
Oh
You
man,
know,
that's
and
so much fun.
so the other thing that Jarett is, and it's of relevance, is that he's the person I run a lot of my design decisions by, so he can tell me they're no good before I go back and redo them.
It's true, he does. I've been in design a long
So,
time, so
yeah.
I kind of know what I'm talking about. I'm not great by any means, but I have an okay eye.
Yeah. So how does your regular work in terms of design and you work with a lot of brand aesthetics and that kind of stuff. How does that affect your art?
Well, like, so what I've learned over the years, because I do front end web development for my day job, which is basically the pretty side of code, making everything look nice. What I've learned through that does apply to art is that brand stuff can be very important down to like the teeniest of details, and even that can even be in just like the right spacing throughout, and having to pay attention to those little tiny gaps, or anything like that. Like, it gives you a lot of spatial awareness, because you're building a web page that has to look good, and not be if your spacing starts to get off, things like that, then it's going to make the whole thing look off. So with art, it's kind of the same thing. If you don't have a good composition, it's not going to come across right. And if you have to explain what your art is doing, then you're probably not conveying the message you want to. And it's the same thing with websites. If you're not displaying your content properly, you're not going to display the proper message. So I think like that's kind of the connection between. It helps me get some logic into the creative.
Logic. It's always nice to have.
It is, especially today.
Today is not the day for logic. It's this. It's the madness and the
Right.
chaos. It's what we live off of.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
We're all
So,
mad.
the experience is on TikTok, and you're on TikTok. I love your TikToks because so often they feature your pets, and your pets are the best.
They are.
So what made you decide that you wanted to be a TikToker?
So I had not wanted to use TikTok for a long time because, it was the new hot thing. I didn't care, whatever. But then my wife Jackie got on it, and she was constantly trying to laugh at things, or like I was missing out on jokes she was getting that were on Reddit and whatnot. And then she started showing me more, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll get it. And in getting it and like tailoring it to myself, I started to learn an awful lot about me. Like, I discovered I have ADHD this year and got diagnosed and everything. It's like, holy moly, my whole life is totally different. But the thing about the creators on TikTok is they're so genuine, and like it really shows you that you don't need Hollywood for people to be hilarious and awesome and leave an impact on you and entertain you with whatever content they're putting out there. You see how great the world is, and you can really connect, I think, to that. And I just kind of I want to be part of that. Like, I want to be part of something that's more genuine than whatever crap people put on Facebook, or just having to show like, here's my pretty pictures on Instagram. Nobody's reading my captions because it doesn't matter. I think it's a great place to not only show yourself, but whatever it is you do.
This is how we know that TikTok matters. Applebee's announced this week that they're changing their menu because of a TikTok trend. They're adding the Oreo shake back, and they've signed a deal for natural light to be on tap in every one of their stores because of that stupid trend.
I was really, really hoping you were going to say they were going to decide to add some flavor to their food.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Seasoning? Never.
You can only ask so much.
True.
One step at a time. One step at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. So welcome to the ADHD club, my friend.
Yeah, I know, right? It's so
I have
wild.
ADD. Does that count?
Well, just so you guys know, I learned on TikTok that it's not called ADHD anymore. It's called Dave.
What's dopamine, something.
Dopamine averse, something.
Yeah.
Well, Jarett and I have a mutual friend who Jarett works a lot with, and I work a lot with, named Dave. So I like to say I'm having a bad Dave day and tag him in it. So.
Yes, definitely. It likes to, my brain just likes to go sometimes. That's just how life is these days, isn't it?
Yeah, but
It's always fun.
yeah.
How does that help you with your like creativity and with your art and stuff?
So I think with art, it helps me because I can come up with a million ways to do something in a very short amount of time. And the hyper focus part of ADHD makes art last all day. I can lose entire days to arting around, and I love it because it like when especially once I get past like creating the forms and doing all the line work, then it's just coloring, and coloring is just like my zen. And like that's where hyper focus really takes over, and everything. I'm not thinking anymore. Everything is just all the experiences that I've had coming out in every little touch, and it's the best. It's the best time.
Yeah, it really is. When I paint, when I have days off, which is rare nowadays, these guys keep me busy all the time, but I still love it. Love all of them 99% of the time. But when I do get a chance, I sit down and I paint and I sketch shit out, and then it's just like I focus, and that's where I'm at. There's like nothing else around me, and that's all it is, and everything falls apart. And then all of a sudden, you look at the window and it's dark.
Yeah.
I was like, what happened here?
Uh-huh.
It was. I just made breakfast for my nieces. What happened?
One of the first time I ever tried painting with a VR headset, like 3D painting, I spent 8.5 hours in it, almost solid. I came out once and I couldn't believe how long it was just I just get so into it.
Yeah.
Like my brain just cares nothing about anything else going on.
Nice.
It's the best. It's the happiest time.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of Applebee's, what other sort of like restaurants and foods and stuff do you like to like go out to eat or like make at home?
I hate cooking anymore. It's always something simple.
The wrong person.
It's always something simple like burgers or hot dogs or spaghetti or like something with chicken or like, but we like to get takeout from Tropical Smoothie a lot because their wraps and stuff are just so good and their smoothies are awesome.
Nice.
My wife does a lot of like Soylent meals, so it just like it's like a powder or like a drink, meal replacement drink.
Oh, okay.
And on days she's not feeling like eating, then I'll like cook up a couple eggs. I like to make eggs a million different ways. I mean, nothing fancy, but like it's just whatever I've got around, I'll throw in a burrito with some eggs and.
Nice. I can tell you right now, I'm super jealous. My husband absolutely hates the smell of eggs because he was forced to eat them a lot when he was younger. So I never get to cook eggs at home. So what I'll do is I'll cook up some maple bacon or some peppered bacon and then put the eggs in that grease. And then he can't smell the eggs at all. It just smells like maple bacon or peppered bacon.
Nice.
And then I'm always cooking at home. I'm making gumbo, beef stew, all kinds of stuff. Ugh, I absolutely love it.
I hate cooking. I don't know if I hate cooking or I hate my kitchen. I bought a house with a kitchen that's just not great. It seemed good when we bought it, and then the more we used it, we're like, it's too small. The storage sucks.
Yeah,
it's just a mess.
You just gotta make do with what you got, right?
Yeah.
So, what have you been like working on recently? Is there anything that you could like tell us about?
Yeah. So I have my first issue. My first issue of my comic. My first 2 issues came out almost 2 years ago now. Weight of Gravity. Ooh. And the prequel came out in the Get in the Game anthology.
I think we had that at our store.
Yeah. Yep, it was. It for sure was.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's mine. So I had started doing number 2, like right after number 1. When else would you do number 2? Before?
Oh, after you do number 3. Come on, man.
Makes sense. So I started working on number 2. I'm probably 75% of the way done before I just stopped. And I stopped due to the pandemic when that hit.
Okay.
It was just I stopped being creative at all for like 6 months. I just couldn't do it. I
Yeah.
didn't draw anything for 6 months, which is so bizarre for me. But once I picked it back up, I was fine.
Yeah.
But in that time, I also thought a lot about what I had done for issue 2, and I realized I wasn't terribly happy with it. It was I could tell I was rushing through the early story beats to get to the ones I really wanted to.
Yeah.
And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that doing an entire comic by myself is just not gonna work. So my plan, I'm currently halfway through rewriting the original novel that I wrote the comic off of.
Okay.
And my plan is to do a series of short novels with illustrations to accompany.
Ooh.
Maybe some comic panels throughout. Like, I'm not sure. I want to do something different that's unique to me, that feels right for my story. Because I don't feel like I can tell it right without showing some visuals too. Okay. And I don't want that to be limited to just a book cover. And with digital self-publishing, it's so easy to do it the way I want to. So that's in the works. I'm hoping that I can get the first draft done by the end of probably this year at this point, and hopefully get it out sometime early, like within probably the first 6 months of next year, the first half. So by like summer of next year, I'm hoping that comes out. Another thing I'm doing that I do every month is I have a Patreon that people can sign up for, where they get, where everybody gets to vote on 3 characters that I draw a month, and then you can sign up to get stickers, postcards, or prints, 8.5 by 11 prints, or 4 by 6 postcards, or like 5-inch stickers. It's cheap, it's fun, and I just really love doing it. People get some cool art from me, and I get to make some fun characters that I wouldn't have thought of, or just ones I really wanted to draw, but I just needed like that push.
Yeah.
Someone to say, you have to do this now.
Oh. We also got a question from Sean Butler. I'm going to put it up for you.
Sure.
Where do you find a lot of your inspiration comes from? Is it different depending on if you are writing or drawing?
So, oh man, this is interesting to answer. So like, I feel like inspiration comes from everywhere. At a certain point, I learned to observe life outside of like just like being a human in it. Like, as an artist, I was watching everything for the shapes and the simple contours and the ways I can remember like how I would draw that once I sit down. Okay. But that also taught me to kind of look at life in terms of how could this be a good story. And my wife one day was challenging me because she has some fun, I wouldn't call them fun, fears that she's not a fan of. Like, she fears sinkholes and meteors.
Well, that's things that you should be afraid of.
True, but I always told her, like, think if you don't want to think about it and it bothers you, think of it in terms of like a story. How can you frame it in a story that makes it better or just diverts your thought altogether? And she said, I don't know how you can make a fun story out of a meteor smashing the planet. So I did, and that's what The Weight of Gravity is about. It starts off with the opening panel shows Earth smashed to bits. So I start out a whole story with a fear based on the Earth being blown up. And I think you can find, and what I'm trying to say, I think, is that you can find inspiration anywhere if you want to look for it.
Yeah.
And I'm always looking for different things, that just fun ideas, and thinking through weird ideas all the time, or tell them like I'll pick up a little bit something from so on TikTok I see a lot of people talking about like outer consciousness, sort of, like we are just meat sacks. We are not these meat sacks. We are something else in here. Yeah. There's like an external realm for consciousness. And so I just thinking about that, I took that and wrote a short, like 3-paragraph story about how this guy figures out that we actually are that, but like these bodies are meant as like a prison for our other version of ourselves, and we like lose all our memories. So that's why we're like, some people have like past lives and all that. It's not a past life. It's just you did that last week, and now you're imprisoned in this body.
Almost like what was that old 80s TV show? I think it was a Quantum Leap, where every time he would jump into somebody, right? That was the right one.
Kind of some, and in a way, like there's even a part of the story that's something like that, like people who suddenly like shift personalities or like multiple personality disorder. It was just like, it was a fun way of like thinking of it from an alternate perspective.
Yeah.
And like framing it in a story. And like I want to write that one out further because I think there's some good legs on it, but I haven't gotten any further with it because I have so many other things I like to do.
Definitely. I always have a calendar. I have like, nobody can see it, but I have my desk here, and down here I have 4 notebooks and a binder just to keep up like everything that I need to be done and doing.
I should do something like that, but I just try to keep it in my head and hope it sticks. It does.
I've given up. Like anytime that I feel like there's an idea, I'll grab any random piece of paper and just like write it down. It's this way without the store. We have sticky notes just all over the place.
Yeah, I use Google Docs a lot to track ideas, and then I forget about them, and then I go into my Google Docs, and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot all about this.
Speaking of Post-its, that's what I have like all over my wall. Just Post-its. Not serial killer in any way, just Post-its of ideas.
And to go back to the whole inspiration thing, like, so something I've done too over the years, like I draw a lot of like just random characters, just like I doodle something up and it'll go to the side like, oh, this was fun. But some of them stick and I draw them over and over and over. And like, I'll start to form little like backstories in my head as I'm drawing them multiple times. Like, oh, they have this accessory for this reason. Yeah. And one thing I started to do was I liked all these characters, but I had nothing for them. And I started to like try to come up with individual stories for each of them. But instead I just used all that fun that I had already made up and put it all into one story.
There you go.
So drawing inspiration, not just from other things, but from things I'm doing too.
Mm-hmm. Just give yourself your own like ideas. Be like, oh, wait a minute. I did a thing. Now I need to make it another thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's I think, again, thinking about things from different perspectives.
Yeah, that's totally awesome. Welcome back, Kyle. Hey.
Nice to see you. Looking surly as ever.
I had to handle some business. I was going to try and hide it as much as possible, but Jarett knows and Jenna knows. I'm actually coming to you live from a medical facility, and the doctor was just here, so I had to talk to them.
Needs to take care of yourself. Everybody. I want everybody to take care of themselves. I love doing this.
Don't wind up in a medical facility.
I'm sure they're wondering how you got out of the restraints again.
Oh. Wonder if a certain somebody ever sent you some nachos.
Don't say that too loud. Don't say that too loud. So, all right. So, I have a question.
Yeah.
Why didn't you show everybody the sexy ad on the back of The Weight of Gravity?
Oh.
I mean, I can. That one?
Yes.
Nice.
That's me.
And it matches, or it goes with the ad on the back of Super Angela that I didn't write this one. I drew it though. Shauna Shepard wrote it, and I did the cover, but it's pretty.
It's so pretty.
I like pretty.
My story has been on the back of 2 of Jarett's books.
That's true. What did you have anything in the Get in the Game anthology?
No. Pat wouldn't let me.
Oh, okay.
Because I made too much fun of him.
I thought that was the base of all good friendships.
Oh, it is. But if you call someone Jolly Green Giant in public too many times, they don't let you put advertising in their books.
I grew up getting called Jolly Green Giant. I was taller than everyone growing up, so I got called that a lot.
That's the name of my brother-in-law. He has to bend down to get through doors. We call him the Big Green Giant. And his son is a little sprout.
Nice.
It was funny. He showed up to my wedding with a big green bow tie. And we were like, it's perfect.
My goodness. Jarett, I don't know if you guys talked about it. I didn't hear. Did you have anything in the new book that Dave just put out?
No, I didn't. I was going to. I had a couple of things. I had one story that I kind of wanted to do, and then I lost it. And then I had another one I was going to do, and I just didn't get around to it in time. Like it was a busy time. Like he was putting that together through the busiest time I've ever been through at my day job. So it was a lot of just burnout for me and having a hard time finding the time to do anything other than what I just wanted to. And I didn't really want to write that story.
That's fair. I ask only because I assumed you did, and I haven't actually read my copy yet. So
no, I actually have I have it paneled out. I just never finished it. And it was going to be fun. The whole thing
was
a
backup story.
Huh?
Make it a backup story and wait too.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I mean, the whole thing is this guy. Instead of catching COVID, this guy caught a demon arm. Like his arm, like it's all of a sudden like kind of possessed, and it starts to smell like rotten fish. And he tries different things to like take care of it, and like wrapping it in Saran wrap, or just wearing a couple of sweaters over it, and it never works. And he goes to a Halloween store looking for like a Bucky arm to put on it. And in the end, he just figures out if he just wears a mask and everyone else wears a mask, then they won't be affected by
it. Yes. How come I don't have that in my
how the Saran wrap?
Because I was too tired to do it. Like, and I feel like that's something I would actually try. Like, I'll just wrap this Saran wrap around it. It'll be fine. You won't even notice.
Yeah. Just wrap it in foil, cut it off, and put it on the barbecue. You'll be fine.
Oh, and he tries to cut it off, but it just grows right back.
What?
Yeah, because it's a demon arm.
How rude.
Yeah, I need this now. This needs to be a book in my life.
It was tentatively titled Stank Arm just because I had nothing else.
I love that. That'd be so much fun to read. Oh my goodness. So I do have one more question. What was your favorite project that you've ever worked on?
The Weight of Gravity. Seriously, I had done the prequel to it for the Get in the Game anthology, and that was supposed to have gone into print before or in time for me to do a signing at Kyle's store. Except it kept getting delayed, and it got delayed one more time, and it was beyond that date. So I had 3-4 weeks. I found out I wasn't gonna have it in hand. So I wrote, drew, and printed The Weight of Gravity #1 in 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
And I was so proud of how it turned out. I read through it now, and I still I'm proud of it. I did good work. And I told it. I started the story well. I think I did something really good, and it's been my favorite thing yet.
Good. Makes me glad. And we're planning plenty more.
What was that? You both were talking.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Well, I remember you talking to me during that process.
Yeah.
And that was the birth of the hashtag Pat's book is late. And it was, really going, oh, we have this signing, we planned this thing, what do we do? And Jarett's like, I got you. I got this book. And it was like, oh, okay, how do I help you? And it was, oh, we'll help with the print run or whatever. Okay, no problem, let's do it. And the speed that book, if I remember, on Monday they didn't exist in physical format, and by Thursday you had them.
Yeah, it was a really quick turnaround. It was I drove up to the printer to pick them up. As soon as they were done, I raced up there, and I had them, I think, 3 or 4 days in advance. So my plan was to have it done in a week before, so that way I tried to have them done 2 weeks before. I got them done about a week, and figured that would be enough time for printing, and I was right, luckily.
Yeah, very luckily, because there's been quite some big stir-ups out there where people are like, we don't have things. Oopsie.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and it was right before everything. Well, no, it was end of 2019, so it was before.
Yeah.
Before the bad, just before the bad.
Before the bad hit the U.S., it was still the rest of the world, but before it hit us, I guess. Yeah. And that's just where it was like, okay, it's gonna work, yay!
Yeah, and that was
happy dance.
I'm really happy that I was able to get it out before all that too. Thinking about it.
Yeah. So are you planning like a lot more of that, or is it just gonna be like 1 or 2 issues?
I'm planning on continuing it as more of the short novel series with illustrations.
That's right. Yeah.
So there will be more. I love the characters that I've made too much, and I haven't even, like, the comic doesn't even get to some of my favorites, which are ones that I've pulled in from other things that I've done.
Yeah. So it's definitely like you're building up a universe here, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, and I'm excited. I like doing it. I wish I had more time and energy.
Oh, trust me, I think that's everybody's. Oh yeah. Yes. We all need more time. Just slow down for a minute.
Yeah.
Almost like she had like the speed of the Flash, where you could slow down everything around you to just get time to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe take a little 9-minute power nap.
That would be lovely.
Yes, just 9-minute power nap. Click. Sorry, we just watched Cruella last night, and that's got to be my favorite part of the movie. Was she would just like 9-minute power nap and then like go away. And I'm like, oh, I wish that worked in real life.
I have not seen that yet.
Oh, I have 17 nieces and nephews that come over throughout just like random times throughout the month. So it's like every other weekend I have at least a couple of the kids here. And it's like, oh, I wish I could just turn to them and be like, 9-minute power nap.
Yeah, I know we don't have that many. We don't ever have anybody here. We have our pets, and that's about it.
So, like, where are you located? Are you also in Ohio, like Kyle is?
Yeah, I'm just outside of Toledo in Holland.
Oh, okay. Because I'm in Houston.
Oh, lovely.
I'm on the north side of Houston, towards Spring and Oak Ridge in the Woodlands. So
yeah,
we get nonstop rain every day.
No thanks.
Because the area I'm at, it's all swamp. This used to be swampland that they filled in parts of it to do houses, and the swamp's trying to take it back.
Oh, Toledo was once originally swampland.
Yeah.
But it's not anymore. It's not trying to come back either.
You still get the rain from back when it was swamp, I guess.
Yeah, and now with how the climate's shifted, it feels swampy up here.
Mm.
I've been to Memphis before, and I remember how just thick and humid it was there, and how awful it was, and how happy I was to come home because it wasn't like that here. Now it's like that here.
Through the air.
Yeah, now it's like that here, and it's awful. Like, it's been like this for the last 2 months, and it's so thick you can taste the air, and it just doesn't even feel like you're outside.
I'll give you some advice from living in it almost all my life: is you just learn to breathe in big gulps. You're like, tasty air.
I'm hydrated too.
It keeps our skin moist.
I came back into a weird part of this conversation.
Talking about humidity.
Okay.
Does that help?
It's not the heat, it's the gosh darn humidity.
Oh, gosh. It keeps us all young. And kind of strong.
At least I hope to continue looking young. On my way to living forever.
Well, I mean, you've got a pretty awesome collection behind you. If I do declare, that would be a Stay Puft 10-inch pop.
Yep, that is. There's a alien plushie in front of him and a Deathwing pop in front of him. Oh. There's an Illidan hanging out back there.
You, sir.
A Murky.
We have the same. So I have about 30 different 10-inch pops. I have the Stay Puft and I have the Toasted Stay Puft one.
Yeah.
I love them so much.
Nice. I don't have that many pops. I have some small. I do have the Dio from Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, okay.
That one's cool, but
this is what my wall looks around the entire room. I have a little over 1,000.
Yeah, I have some shelves right above my desk that are just lined with action figures.
Oh, that's dope. What's your favorite, like, is there a certain, like, type that you like to collect? Like, I see you have plenty of the Stormtrooper ones. Is there any, like,
I collect almost all the Star Wars 6-inch figures and from Hasbro, and then Marvel ones too, and then some offshoot ones like Spawn and Ninja Turtles, things I liked and grew up with.
There you go. Oh, those ones that we grew up with, though, are so expensive these days, though. Like, remember putting firecrackers or smoke bombs on them and just, like, trying to throw it? No?
No, I didn't want to hurt my toys.
Well, we didn't
Jenna,
mean to.
Are you secretly Sid from Toy Story?
No. Okay. Let me set this up. So I'm the oldest of 6, and we grew up on a ranch with my cousins and with my grandparents, right? So we have this one part of it. It's over in the Sam Houston National Forest. One part of it is backed up right there, and we would have these wars where we would need to have grenades, and we would use smoke bombs for 4th of July, and our little figures were our bombs and our grenades that we would just throw at each other and take somebody's eye out.
That sounds awful.
I think.
And we were also on our 4-wheelers when we would throw the stuff at each other too. So it's just, good old country living.
Yeah,
I grew up with
Sid from Toy Story.
Parents who encouraged safety.
My family was all about, you need to take care of the animals. You need to feed water the horses. Don't let the chickens eat you. The tiny T-Rex little monsters. I don't care what anybody says. Chicken's delicious, and I'm never going to raise any more chickens ever again. They're the most evil creatures on this planet.
That's what I've heard.
They chase you when you're trying to...
Their words are otters.
Oh, I've heard otters.
Otters and geese are worse, but they're pretty bad. So, did you guys talk about...
Nope.
See, that's the ADHD right there.
Didn't do that.
3/4 of the way through a sentence and my brain just resets.
I just sit on the edge of my seat, like, tell me what you want to say.
Oh, future projects. Is there anything you're working on?
Oh, we did talk about that, but to clue you in,
okay, well.
I'm working on a novel. I'm working on a novel follow-up to Weight of Gravity because I have more story than I can tell in a comic book, and I'm way faster at writing than drawing. But again, I'll plug this again. Every month I have a Patreon everybody can sign up for at patreon.com/thejarett, where you can sign up for as low as $6 for stickers, postcards, or prints.
I love stickers.
Here, I'll show some off. So,
oh no, I'm gonna be in trouble.
You can get some cool prints like this, or like these guys. I like Doctor Strange there, or Captain America. I do all kinds. So everybody gets to vote every month, and every month 3 characters get made into stickers, postcards, and prints, and they're all fun, and I love doing it because it's just good times.
I love stickers. Guess I have to go to Patreon and give you all the monies.
Okay.
All the monies.
Okay.
No, and
who needs money when you can have stickers?
one of the cool things that Jarett does is he's constantly posting pictures of his drawings on social media, and I mean, like, every night I feel like there's 2 or 3 different ones, and most of the times they're Star Wars.
That used to be the case. I will be honest, I don't post nearly as much as I used to. I just have a hard time doing it. Like once the pandemic hit and I stopped doing everything for like 6 months, I've had a harder time getting back into sharing as much. And that's just that I need to do it more. And that's really the hard part, is just getting back onto the hump of like constantly saying, oh, look what I'm doing.
What he'll do is he'll post a thing and say, if you want this, you have to be on my Patreon.
That I have posted that stuff. Well, that's like the main stuff I do lately, because I haven't had a ton of free time. So my free time does usually go to creating that art, and I try to do more unique art than I usually would, or try to think a little bit more creatively than I might have just for something for me. So
right, but the end of that sentence was going to be people like me who are schmucks and keep forgetting to go subscribe to Jarett's Patreon, keep missing out on this really cool stuff. And so go over and subscribe to the Patreon so you don't have FOMO like I do all the time.
So I have to know, Kyle was telling me that you guys have actually known each other for a while. How did you guys like meet or, you know, become the friends or whatever it is that you guys are? How did this happen?
I started doing conventions and I met him at a convention.
Or is it Shauna's fault?
So I think it's just the fault of me doing enough shows to where I started to just talk to everybody that is in our group. Like, I think in part it was a little bit of Dirk. It was a little bit of Shauna for sure. But like, I started to get to know like you and everybody, like Dave and all them, like everybody around the same time. Cause I just kept consistently doing shows for a little bit in the same area. So I kept seeing the same people. And eventually, like, I don't know how it happened. It just all of a sudden we were all friends.
Isn't that how friendship works, I guess?
Yeah, like I don't even remember how it started necessarily, other than it was vague, like I just said. Like,
it just happened.
Like that time was such a blur for me. Like it was so new and I was so like over consumed constantly with how crappy my display was compared to anybody else's.
Aww.
And like I had no idea what I was doing, and I was like, for a guy who has years of like retail and sales experience, I sure had a hard time selling my own stuff. I still do. I just like to smile and let people look at my stuff.
Was it like one of those moments where it's like, oh man, that's my stuff. I don't know, man. I don't know.
It used to
your
be
stuff, I'll sell your stuff all day, but my stuff, I don't.
Yeah.
know.
Now, on the other hand, I'm like, if you don't want to buy my stuff, something's wrong with you.
Which is a good attitude to have in everything.
I agree. Like, I think people need to be proud of their work. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to even be great or better than somebody else's. Just be proud of it.
Yeah, definitely. Kyle, you were saying something?
I'm trying to remember this whole thing for you. And I feel like Shauna introduced us when we were working on Super Angela. But I feel like it was almost immediately after that you were like boothing with us at conventions.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
I don't feel like there was any time there like where it was.
I think maybe you had just asked, like you had some space and was like, hey, do you got you? Because I think it was me and Shauna the first time I boothed with you.
Sure.
No. I don't know.
I don't remember that. I remember us going to Wyandotte, Michigan.
Oh no. I had boothed once with Shauna. Just I don't know what I'm saying. Wyandotte?
Yeah, there was that. There was that at Fantasticon, maybe.
Maybe.
But we went to Wyandotte, Michigan, and it was like one of the most brutal shows I've ever done for a couple.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. We had a ton of space and nobody was there.
Aww.
Right, but then also there was a professional wrestling match at this convention, and I just remember that there were people there for the wrestling, but not for the convention.
Yeah,
so it was
like,
all happening in one place, and it just sort of like meshed together.
Kinda.
Yeah, because like half the room was tables, the other half was a wrestling ring with chairs being set up. Like the match wasn't going on during the show. It was like at the end of the show marked the start of the match.
Perfect. It sounds like so much fun. Oh my god.
But it was brutal, but we had so much fun.
Yeah.
Just goofing around. At this convention. I vividly remember that. And I remember you guys setting up like at a Fantasticon with me.
I've set up at a number of shows with you. I don't even know how many. You were always like, "Hey, I got some extra space. You want to come draw at it?" Yeah.
Right. So, needless to say, it bothers me that I don't remember that though.
I'm used to not remembering things well.
Well,
it was with age.
I think it comes with ADHD. Like,
yeah.
Like details are always a little fuzzier.
They can always be glossed over because the big picture is what's important, right?
Right.
Yeah, I totally get that. If you could go back in time, what would be some advice you would give like your younger self?
Be proud of the work you do. And it doesn't matter what anybody else says. It really doesn't. Like,
there's always going to be haters.
Yeah. You just tell those people to shut up and get away.
Right? Because you need to be your biggest cheerleader.
Don't deal with garbage and realize that everything you do is from your unique perspective. It may suck in the grand scheme of things, and it may not be as good as somebody else's, but it doesn't mean it's not your unique perspective. And you should still be proud of it.
Nice. Would that be the same advice you would give of like people that are trying to like write and do art and like anything that they're trying to do? Is that like the same advice you give them?
Yeah, 100%. Like, just be proud of yourself. Like, you did a thing. You made something. You took something from here and put it there. Like,
yeah,
that is an accomplishment on its own. The next step is then, how do I make it better? You know, and better for you. Don't worry about being better for anyone else. Don't worry about making something that's better than artist XYZ or writer KLJ or whatever. I don't know why I'm picking random letters.
Those are the randomest letters.
I like them though. It's better than XYZ. That's what everybody else uses.
Zed's
not
dead.
In America, no one uses Zed.
What?
Zed's dead.
Not in America, no one uses Zed.
Yeah. Zed's dead, baby. I loved that game.
So, Zed is actually dead because Rip Torn is dead and he played Zed in Men in Black.
Oh yeah. I always think of Lollipop Chainsaw.
I was thinking of Pulp Fiction.
We all know a Zed from something.
Sure, I mean several references here, but
yeah. So
we've lost the plot.
We lost what?
Sean is right. Creating art is not easy. Always be proud.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I know I'm not better than a number of other artists out there, but I'm going to go on a little tangent here. So somebody I heard recently say, always try to be the best of whatever it is you're doing. And I completely 100% disagree with that. Don't try to be the best. Just try to be proud of the work you're doing. Like, if you constantly work at putting out work that you are proud of, you would show off, you're happy to show other people. I mean, you don't have to show other people, but if you're happy with the work you're doing, if you look at it and you say, this is reflective of who I am and it makes me happy, then you don't have to worry about being the best, because being your best is what's most important.
As long as you are always your best you, that's all you can ever ask for. That's all anybody can ever ask for.
That's what I was going to say. Somebody once told me you don't have to be the best at everything. You just have to be your best at everything.
Yeah.
So as long as you're improving over what you've done in the past.
Right. Even then, like, am I doing the best work that I can? Am I trying the hardest to make this something I am happy with?
Thanks, Dirk.
To answer awesome. Dirk's, wasn't Zed the villain in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers? No, that's Zordon.
But so I actually get that. I get that a lot. People make fun of the way I spell color or the way I spell favorite or like roundabouts. When we get to them, they're rare around here. Or when I say the alphabet and they're like, you're an American, you're from America. And I'm like, I actually learned English from an Indian dude in Ireland. So maybe.
Well, you could also just say, I like it this way. Like, who cares? Yeah. Like, why does everything have to be...
Right. I'm with Jarett on this.
I'm being my best.
Well, I can reinforce it. I could reinforce it for you. The Bare Naked Ladies did a new alphabet where most of the things that are A is for whatever are silent, where the first letter is silent. And they go, Z is for ZZ Top, which is, which is a band where everyone has a beard except the guy who's named Beard, who only has a mustache.
Oh, I feel so left out. I'm not part of the beard crew.
It's okay. I'm not part of the haired crew.
Well, y'all twinsies.
I only have hair right now because my barber retired. Like, I gotta Did you have any idea how hard it is to find a barber in COVID?
No, I do my own.
Yeah, I do my own.
See, I would, but I tend to take away more skin than hair.
Ooh.
You know,
I'm
I
not
just
good at it.
did it enough times to where I didn't aim for my face anymore.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
I will never
So-
know the hardships.
We've got just a couple minutes left here, Jarett. Do you have any conventions or anything coming up that you would like to promote and make other than the Patreon? And then we're going to promote the Patreon hardcore.
I have a convention coming up, Fountain City Fandemonium. It's
Ooh.
Friday, September 24th. I'll be putting more info out as it gets closer. I had to look it up because I didn't remember any of that.
Are you doing the show in Bryan at the library?
I think so. Yeah. I know. No.
Cool.
Yeah, no.
I don't know where this one's. I don't know where this one is offhand. I don't know places and locations very well. I've done this one
All right.
before. The guy that's running it is Tyson. I don't know if you know if that's.
It's a thing.
Yes, that's the library show.
Then it's the same one.
I think I'm going to be there too.
Yeah, because
We'll talk. I got an idea.
That one every year. Yeah, you do that one every year with me.
Make sure you message me later so I can tell you what conditioner was good for the color of the hair.
Oh, I wrote it down.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I'm very excited.
So everybody,
And it really helps.
Everybody-
It really helps make it last forever.
I did it while we were live, but everybody should head over to patreon.com/the_Jarett.
Yeah, it's
and
it's
that's
cool
the
stuff.
thing. He sends you fun stickers every month. Like
Oh,
for not a lot of
sweet.
money, you get dope stickers that you can stick on your laptop or other people's clothing or
Or
your
like I
enemies'
do with
cars
Henry.
if you really want to be a jerk about it and lose your
I mean,
sticker.
it's not a jerk to put my art on anything. You could if you stick my art on something, it instantly increases in value. Instantly, I would pay at least $1 more than retail value for that.
Oh, snap.
Yes. So, yes. So head over to the Kickstarter for, like, I'll just tell you, I backed for $10 a month, and I get stickers and postcards.
Mhm. They're pretty great.
So
I'm
now
very
I have a reason to send. I have a reason to send letters with Jared's fancy postcards
Oh, you
if
don't
I
keep,
want
you
to,
gotta
or I
keep
can
this-
just pin them up in the studio. And
they actually are
I get
postcards on the
stickers.
back, and I do like on the back. I print them all myself, and so on the back I do the postcard print, like stuff. But I also do like a transparent line work of one of my art things that I just pick at random. So that's fun. It's double art.
So, thank you to Jarett for being here with us on our 6th-month anniversary, for kicking off the day, for being one of my besties in this game, and for helping us out. So, everybody head over and back to Patreon. We are going to be back momentarily with Austin McKinley and Dirk Manning of Tales of Mr. Rhee. Tales of Mr. Rhee Volume 5 is coming out soon, but also other things. So we're going to talk to them about the other things. So we'll be back in just a minute here on The Experience. I really should have written down what I was going to say to segue. Now I'm kidding. Help! the internet, it's still Kyle. I haven't changed, or at least not entirely. I wanted to tell you guys about something we're doing here this weekend and going forward here at the experience. You're going to see stuff like that pop up on the screen. This thing here is a QR code. It takes you to a place on the interwebs where you can do a thing. You scan it with your phone, and it takes you there. So if you're watching on your phone right now, grab a screenshot, scan it later. If you're watching on another device, stick your camera of your phone up to it and then tap the thing that pops up and sign up for our mailing list. Jenna is going to be making the mailing list soon, which I'm sure she's terrified about, but it's going to be great. So do the things that the QR codes are offering you. They're going to be in everything. Sign up for the mail. We got them for everything. So now that I've done that little bit of business, I'm going to bring back in my compatriot.
I'm only tiny frightened, tiny.
Right. And another one of our compatriots here on the experience, Will Holland.
Hello.
Hi.
And Austin McKinley, who was laughing at my jokes, so he gets stopped billing.
Awesome.
And then
Coffee.
this guy who acts like he's not paying attention, even though he's secretly texting me in the middle of interviews.
Hello.
Hello there, Mr. Manning. How are you?
Hello, friends. Kyle, I promise if I knew you were telling a joke, I would laugh at it.
Oh, snap.
You know, that's true. That's true. That's super true. But Austin got it, even though it wasn't funny, which is the key.
I know, it's like Austin's showing off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of coffee. Send more coffee.
All right. So, welcome to the show, guys. Let's start here.
Good to be here.
How did? Yeah, thank you. How did you guys come, Austin and Dirk? How did you guys start working together?
Internet dating? No.
Yeah, that's true. By the way, hi Austin. I haven't seen you.
Hey,
What's
man.
going on, brother?
Good to see you.
We are at that point in our friendship when it's like, hey, by the way, we're doing a thing Saturday. It's like, cool. See you then. See you. No,
Okay,
yeah, it was.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay. So how did you guys start working together?
Internet dating.
Yeah.
Nice.
Next volume of Tales of Mystery will be Tales of Mystery Volume 6, Internet Dating.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, we met. Anybody that knows about my career knows that Nightmare World started as an online series, and that Josh Ross was one of the most prolific Nightmare World artists. And Josh has a very like Darrow-esque style and had a really specific idea for how he wanted his work colored. And as such, I kind of put out an all call on digital webbing forums back in the day. And Austin kind of piped in and said, hey, I do coloring work. The funny thing is there was another colorist from South America who we were getting ready to pull the trigger on. And it was for the story, for those of you who like to go back and compare things, it was Milk of Human Kindness in Nightmare World. And Austin crushed it. I mean, his colors were absolutely fantastic. And he went on to color a lot of Josh's stuff for a long time. Little did I know that Austin was secretly luring me into his web, because Austin is not only an amazing colorist, he is an amazing illustrator, he's a filmmaker, he does video games, he does
All around everything.
and he does it all excellent. He's phenomenal. It's like and I recently admitted this to Austin, that it's actually almost intimidating that he's so good at so many things. You know, I bang on a keyboard until like the red squiggles disappear, and then I just move to the next word and type again until the red squiggles. Austin just does everything. So at least that's my take on it, Austin. I don't know if you have a different recollection of this whole process.
Yeah, no, we started coloring, and then one of the 2 times that we've met in person was at a Chicago comic book convention.
That's
and
right.
You were looking at some of my stuff and were like, oh, you could draw a story for Nightmare World as well. And I said, yes, I could. I would like to do that. And you said, what would you like to draw? And I said, spaceships.
Yes.
So you wrote me a spaceship story, and that was just recently printed for the first time now, 14 years later.
In the Ringo Award nominated for Best Original Graphic Novel of 2021, Buried But Not Dead from Sourcepoint Press. And to be fair, the story was originally published in Nightmare World in the online incarnation.
Mm-hmm.
But then as we went through the different syndications of the series, it was a story that I loved it. And in fact, I mentioned this in the notes in the book, which is also now available in previews, that one of my all-time funniest, in my opinion, funniest lines of dialogue or favorite lines of dialogue I ever wrote. It's so dumb, but I ever wrote for Nightmare World is in that story. But I was so mad I couldn't quite make it sync with the big Nightmare World narrative. So to now have it,
Spaceship's still kind of an outlier in Nightmare World.
Yeah, what funny? Yeah, it's so it really tickled me to be able to have this story in the book and have it in print. Again, I don't throw anything away. I just save it. And it's such a good story, and it's so fun. So not only to have this story come back on the verge of Austin and I now doing our first full-length solo big project together, and then to have it nominated for a freaking Ringo Award.
It's very exciting.
It's cool, man. What a journey. What a world.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty big mantle indeed. I'm gonna ask Austin a question, since Austin is apparently a jack of all trades in a lot of ways. Dirk talked about you doing video games, talked about you doing films, talked about you doing things like that. If you were to do a film of Tales of Mr. Rhee,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of ideas would you bring to a film version?
Hold on, I'm taking notes.
There's like writing now.
I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring to not play Mr. Rhee. I cosplayed as him once.
Yes.
And we had to pour ice water on Dirk after to get him to calm down.
100 gallons of ice water. Literally.
Too much excitement, huh?
Yeah, it was a big, like, it looked like something out of Fallout, like full of ice water on Dirk's head to get him to calm down after I showed up as Mr. Rhee one time. So let's not have me play him.
I can't even imagine just straight up ice water in whatever northern area you guys are, because being thrown ice water down here would be great.
My hair didn't move.
I made co-opting the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge for my story, but still.
I want to hear Austin's ideas for this movie. That's what I want.
Yes.
Well, the great thing about the way that Dirk writes is that it's very psychological. It's very contained. So a film of Mr. Rhee would actually be super easy to make because you just need a coffee shop. And the whole story can take place there, and it'll be fascinating and intense. But yeah, I mean that a Mr. Rhee movie could get a lot of mileage out of the sort of psychological buildup that Dirk lays down in his stories. And so, yeah, I've always thought that would be a perfectly reasonable thing to try and do.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Are you saying that Dirk only writes bottle episodes?
Not bottle episodes, but I think it's no secret that he's picked up the mantle of the Twilight Zone, this kind of psychological slow boil horror story that sort of unfolds the more you think about it. So yeah, I think that there are a lot of times when I read his scripts and I'm like, I could just as easily film this as draw it.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be cool. Maybe maybe not always the climax of the story. That might take some doing. Certainly the first act or act and a half.
Yeah, because like Rhee 5 that Austin illustrated, it's our first, like I said, long form project together. It starts in more or less a hospital room, and then it moves to a coffee shop. From there, it moves to a full blown stadium rock concert. So we definitely up the ante in Volume 5 as we go. But I'm huge on that. Keep it contained, keep it tight, and a huge Nightmare or a huge Twilight Zone baby, obviously. But have we never talked about doing something like that? That needs to be a thing. I mean, we got.
You need to come on more often so we can
Stretch goal.
You know, I know a guy who has a platform for it.
Maybe start with a short film as kind of a proof of concept. But yeah, that would be fun.
There's, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to say that I'm really excited to be working with Austin, and that's that. I'm not going to say anybody.
If you EP it, I'll be your director of photography.
All right.
I'll come out. I'll bring all the cameras and the crew, and we'll get her going.
Well,
and shared everywhere.
And to be fair, Austin made a Nightmare World short film based on the Nightmare World short the second story I wrote for him that he illustrated. So he did a short film for Life in a Glass House, which people can check out on Facebook. I think it's on YouTube now as well, right?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it's fantastic. I mean, it's like a 7-8 minute film. He illustrated the story in Nightmare World. He filmed a short film version of it, which is incredible. My big film debut is the voice on the intercom, the robot voice. So like this isn't a thing where like Austin's like, oh, why I dabble into it. But he has made multiple films, and you've been to festivals and everything else. So,
oh my goodness, it's too much. It's too much. It's too much good greatness.
So I've got a follow-up question now for Dirk, my blood brother from the Texas Heat. Let's just say Austin writes this, Austin gets it set up, Kyle's getting your cameras ready, everything's going good, and somebody came in, Netflix, let's just say, some random place, comes in and says, okay, look, we've got a bucket full of money. Who do you want to cast as your lead?
I know. I will see if I can get a picture and show you exactly. I know exactly who it would be.
Also, you should send me the link to the video.
Oh, to Life in a Glass House?
I can do that.
Because if you search it, just throwing that out there, you get a lot of Radiohead.
Well, that's fair. Who knew that all the it'd be? I'm trying to find a good picture of him, but hands down, I've always said it's Rockman Dunbar, who let's see, where's a good one? Here's a good picture right here. I'll send this to you, Kyle, and you can maybe put this up. But he was a lot of people will know him from Sheriff Eli Roosevelt from Sons of Anarchy. And when I finally first watched Sons of Anarchy for the first time, I saw, like, I jumped off the couch. I'm like, oh my God, that's Mr. Rhee. I just sent you a picture. When you see this picture again, when you see the picture of my just sent to Kyle, you can see that that's him to me. I mean, hands down. So I had to type and find it here when I was on screen. I apologize, but that is that's the guy, hands down. You know, Mr. Rhee's not a big buff, typical carved out of granite.
Although you know, Rockman Dunbar lost a bunch of weight and got jacked, right?
You know what? But that's him. That's Mr. Rhee right there.
Okay.
Hands down. And that's fine. He can hopefully get unjacked, you know, because I mean,
You get unjacked.
I don't know. Austin, you're the director. I mean, would that be something you could live
He
with?
spent all that time getting all jacked. Now you're like, no.
No, unjack him like Sty Stallone in Copland, you know, just. But you're the director. I mean, what do you? And you're an artist. You illustrated Mystery a lot, so.
Yeah, well, the great thing about Mr. Rhee, the way he's designed it's such an iconic role. A lot of different cool people could step into it. You know, if you put on the trench coat and the tattoo and assume the demeanor, you know, a lot of people I think could do a great job. You know, it would be about finding somebody who's really passionate about the project.
Okay.
You know, because sometimes when you're auditioning people for a role, like this happened on my film casters blog, you know, people came in and the character had a very specific look that we were sort of expecting. But sometimes somebody will come in and they're not what you would initially think is right for the part, but they're so passionate about it and they've read the book and they really understand the character. And it's like, well, we'll make this work, you know, because that kind of connection to the material, I think, is the most important thing when casting somebody.
Is there someone you know of specifically that, you know, having worked on Mystery for as much as you have, is there someone in mind? Like, do you ever have like a dream casting, or do you just kind of roll with it?
No, I mean, certainly when I'm watching something and I see somebody play a scene a particular way, I'll be like, oh, that could be a Mr. Rhee. That would be cool.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I don't keep the list. I don't know. Like, I always feel stalkery when I keep lists of people.
Yeah.
You know, like whenever you're pitching a thing, you have to put together several, you know, like options for casting, you know, top 5 choices or whatever. And yeah, it feels weird when I'm like, yes, I will put you in my pitch document.
Right, stuck them in.
I need you to be part of this.
And I'm not hip enough on all the Hollywood stuff to really tell you, you know, who would be who. But like you said, Austin, I think you're right. It'd be just fine. Mr. Rhee is much more about the essence of the character, I think, rather than the look. But it was just funny when I happened to see him. I was like, oh my god, that'd be like the peel him off the page and put him there. Yeah. But yeah, you need to find someone that can say a lot without saying anything.
For sure.
You know.
I mean, you know, you take Carl Urban for Judge Dredd, you know,
right?
That's not something that anybody would have looked at him and said, yes, you. But he does it so well. It's so perfect, you know, and it's because he connected with it, you know.
Right.
Definitely. So you guys actually got a question from Sean Butler. I'm gonna put it up for you. For both of y'all, what inspires you to continue to create after so many years? What you got?
Fear of not getting it all done before dying.
That's a great inspiration. I love it.
Yes.
I know Dirk is the same as me. You know, we've got a backlog, you know, that you can never make it as fast as you think of it. So it's always just, you know, racing against time to get as much done as you can. I'm never at a loss for what to do, only what to do next.
Yeah, totally. That's one of the reasons Austin and I think get along so well. And I think in a way what's gotten in our way of working together as much as we do, because at least the way I've always viewed it, Austin's always got so much stuff going on. He's always so busy and he's so talented. And it's like, man, like, hey, you want to work together again? He's like, yeah, we do it and it's cool, you know. But I saw a meme the other day that really shattered the psyche of my soul. And it was like, the meme was something to the extent of, here I am buying books like I'm going to live forever. And I'm like, oh God. Because yeah, it's like you start to like ration out. Like I read every day. I try to read something every day, you know, a little bit. I'm an avid reader, but it's the same thing with creating. It's like Mr. Rhee is a long form story, you know. Volume 5, which I suppose we should mention, will be launching on Kickstarter with Source Point Press in October. Is Volume 5 starts Act 2, and Volume 5 is a big book. You know, and we have this big story and we're just starting Act 2. But it's one of those things like, you know, obviously with world events the way they were and things like that, you know, mystery. I tried to do a mystery a year and we had to kind of skip that a little bit. And now getting back on track. But it's just wanting to get stuff done. But the other thing I've learned is having to recognize the timing and the value of that timing becomes crucial. But I've been kind of in battles, friendly battles, good battles with Source Point, because I have so much stuff now stacked up that it's like, what comes out when, and it's like, I don't want to tax my audience either, especially because I'm very fortunate that people who support my work know that they like to get like deluxe editions of the work, which means we go to Kickstarter, which means we do crowdfunding, which even when we did Buried But Not Dead, I did this as a surprise drop. I teased this book a year ago and then just kind of dropped it out of the blue, little 15-day campaign, just enough to kind of get it out there, collect a bunch of the old lost works, put them together. And that blew up on us, and I'm not trying to be cute and I'm not trying to be faux humble, but it takes time to do all this stuff.
Yeah. And runway.
And Austin, I don't know if you noticed this, it was 1 year ago this week that you finished the sequentials on the Whoa. Something else for a second. We'll get to that. But it was 1 year ago.
My internet freaked out.
Yeah,
it
was 1 year ago that we finished the pencils that you drew that soul-crushing, exciting last page of Mystery Volume 5, and it's not coming out until this October. I mean, the timing is crucial, and we originally were going to put it out before, but then this other thing kind of popped up that Austin also worked on, Butts and Seats, Tony Schiavone story. And we had to make the tough but proper decision to do Butts and Seats first. And, Austin has a story in that with me as well. Then do Rhee 5, then do Cthulhu Jr., then do the next, and reshuffle the deck a little bit, which I think I'm hoping that, I don't want to say the calculated risk, but I'm hoping the strategy we've took on this is going to work out, because a lot of people are going to see Austin's art again in Butts and Seats, parlay that into Mr. Rhee 5, as well as the Omnibus, which Austin's also a big part of that as well, and so that's the other thing. So that's a very long answer to a short question, but fear and timing.
Fear and timing is your best inspiration. I love it.
Absolutely. Yep.
I need that as a shirt. How everybody has like live, love, laugh? Fear and timing. Inspire.
Yeah. Jen King's dropping some casting bombs there too. So.
Oh yeah.
Ice cream is also a factor, because if I do a good job, I get some ice cream. So ice cream is also a big one.
Oh, I keep waiting for Miss Jen says next time you're coming down, we're getting an ice cream truck. So you need to come. Let's do this.
We got some in the works. Jen and I got some in the works. Don't worry, it's coming. We're going to be back in Tejas soon.
Speaking of Butts and Seats, my question at the moment for you guys is, how interesting has wrestling been for you guys over the last few weeks? We've had a lot of changes going on.
Oh, I can't speak to Austin's investment in wrestling, but for myself, what a time to be alive, my friends. What a time to be alive. The best, it's just amazing. The people, the voice of the voiceless, as he used to call himself, the best in the world, CM Punk, coming back to AEW, really just changing the game, and the ripple effects are huge. AEW has been firing on all cylinders for a while, and there's a lot. I see Sean in the comment mentioned momentum. There's a lot to be said for momentum in a lot of things, and I think that's one of the things I was alluding to with timing earlier. And when CM Punk came out on Rampage, and was so loud, the audience was so loud that you couldn't hear Cult of Personality by Living Color blasting over the speakers in the arena.
I screamed. I was at home and I screamed. I texted my friend. I was like, CM, and she's like, I'm still screaming, and I'm like, I'm screaming. Yeah. It was great.
We were at Astronomicon, and there's a picture online of like me and Travis and a couple of us gathered around an iPad during the show. And like, if you looked around, everyone was like on their phones and stuff. And we had a bet. I lost $1. I'm not too ashamed to say I threw it at Travis. I was so mad. But whether or not CM Punk was going to open or close the show. And I said, oh man, they're going to milk this, man. They're going to close it. And Travis was right. Travis McIntyre was right. He said they can't. He goes, the crowd will lose their mind if we wait till the end. And when the show opened up, and then just that, it was like, oh, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. So
yeah. Oh,
Yep, they definitely lit the gas can, so to speak, with him. And of course, I thought it was interesting this week. People started with the yes chants, and his response was, "That's turning for another guy." You just got to be patient about that.
Be a little bit patient.
That's like, oh, this is even gonna get better.
Well, Austin and I were talking about the backlog of projects and timing. And again, let's say hypothetically, and for the record, I legitimately don't know. And I don't talk to Tony about this stuff. I never, even though I have a very good relationship with Tony, I never asked him, hey, is CM Punk really coming? You know, I want to be a fan too and just enjoy it. I don't want to exploit that friendship we have. So when I say literally hypothetically, I mean it. Hypothetically, let's say Daniel Bryan has signed with AEW. And let's say you signed to Daniel Bryan, but then CM Punk comes in. What do? Do you bring in Bryan before Punk, after Punk? You know, and again, so that timing and there's guys like Bray Wyatt out there lurking around in the background, possibly Adam Cole. I mean, there's
Braun Strowman.
I mean, Buddy Murphy. The list goes on and on. So.
And then where do you determine where they stand in the group shot of the comic that you eventually draw?
Right. You mean this comic right here that Austin McKinley did the ash can for? My signed, the first comic Tony signed.
Awesome.
I predicted, and I didn't send it to Dirk. I sent it to somebody else. The way that they would debut Daniel Bryan and Punk. And it's that the Young Bucks would be in the ring celebrating a win and just stereo running knees, just done. And now you've got a feud. Like,
I hope they bring back
two guys who so similar in style that it would. But so let me ask this question. Should we show the people the cover that I accidentally clicked on when my internet freaked out and start talking about that, or should we keep teasing that for a minute?
I think you should keep holding it up for half a second,
right?
Just like
subliminal messaging.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
That would be appropriate given who's on the cover.
That's true. That's
super
super true.
Let's show the people. Let's give the people what they want.
Show me. There it is.
There it is. Yeah. All right. Bring it up to another seizure.
That's the tease in itself.
There you go.
Pull it up.
Random flash.
I want to give the cover artist the credit he deserves on this.
It is an amazing cover.
Yeah. You know, one of the things with Mystery I've done, and for better or for worse, is I've always brought in a horror artist to do the covers. So the first 4 covers were Riley Rossmo, Eric Powell, Jason Pearson, and Ben Templesmith. And the cover to Volume 5, which Kyle may or may not bring up as I continue to stall, is by Richard Lung, who does Cthulhu Wars for Peterson Games. He's done some other stuff. It's getting big. Yeah, zoom in on that monster. So there it is. That is the cover to Tales of Mystery Volume 5. And you can see a certain tentacled old one featured very prominently. Richard was my dream artist for this one. You know, truly was the guy I wanted because of affiliation with Cthulhu Wars, which is a record-setting game on Kickstarter. Rockstar Paranoia. So that's the cover to Volume 5.
Beautiful.
And,
it's so pretty.
And then the omnibus.
Great detail there. You sort of can't see it at this resolution, but he's holding a microphone.
Yeah. Rhee is holding the microphone. It's kind of like a Breakfast Club style pummel. But yeah, you got Rhee holding the microphone. You got Cthulhu. You got tentacles everywhere. And not to be outdone, and I didn't send a preview of this because I want Kyle to spoil everything all over again. But Jim O'Barr from The Crow is doing the cover of the omnibus, which we're relaunching alongside Volume 5 as a doubleheader Kickstarter campaign. So we're going to have the omnibus or the compendium, whatever you want to call it, whatever we decide to call it. And then Mystery Volume 5, Tales of Mystery Volume 5, Rockstar Paranoia, illustrated by the great Austin McKinley and colored by Alessandro De Fornassari from Haunted Highons, who this will be the first time he's colored anything that Mariana Pascosta hasn't drawn. And he did some really cool, really bold coloring stuff with this book that it was interesting. It was, when I'm trying to find the right way to say this. When it started, the pay, I guess, I don't want to say too much and give anything away, but he brought a very European style to the book, and it pays off in dividends the more you go through the book. He's very, very good.
It's a different sensibility. There's a lot of things where I saw what he would do, and I'm like, man, I wouldn't have even tried to put those colors together, but you did, and it works, and it's amazing. Yeah, he did some really cool stuff.
I can't wait for people to see it. Tales of Mystery Volume 5 is, like I said, it's the beginning of Act 2, and Act 1 in my mind, and I think I'm going to read the book and tell you, was kind of like the Ranabus story arc. It was Mr. Rhee learning to accept his being with the Promise Group. The Ranabus situation worked itself out. But that's such a small piece of the big story that's slowly been unfolding in this series. Ranabus was just like Rhee's cross to bear. That was his burden. There's much bigger factors at play that we start to tap into in Volume 5, and people are going to really start to see that the first 4 volumes, I like to say the first 3 volumes set the chessboard. The Volume 4 was like the opening gambit or the opening move. Now we're getting into the meat of it with Volume 5, and Austin's work is so cinematic that we have the coffee house scene again, which is a motif. I did some complicated stuff because I knew Austin's a guy that could pull off the storytelling techniques, of like the almost Three Stooges like moments of action and how to convey movement in a way that only Austin could pull it off. And I'm so excited for people to see it. I'm so excited.
So Austin, as someone who's colored Mr. Rhee, you worked on Josh's original.
Well, I certainly shaded it. I wouldn't say that I ever.
Well, shaded.
No, listen. You colored the hell out of it, but you colored the hell out of it in black and white and gave it that real film noir look that set the tone for the series. Sorry.
What's it like working with someone like Alessandro, having him color your work?
It's been really exciting to see the stuff come to life. It's interesting. We were talking about Milk of Human Kindness and how much fun there's a nightclub scene in that with like a disco ball and colored lights and all this kind of stuff. And I had a bunch of fun coloring that many years ago for Josh, and it's almost come full circle now because some of the stuff that Alessandro did in the Rock Stadium with lights and a crowd and effects and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it just sings. It is incredible what he did. And yeah, like, I mean, I did some stuff when I was drawing it where I was like, we'll see what he does with this.
Like you're issuing a challenge, but at the same time, you're just excited. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's something about color in comics that it doesn't really come together until you see that. And I love black and white comics as much as anybody, like indie stuff. Color, that's my sensibility. But color makes it come alive, and it's really fun to see that happen. When you've done the black and white and you're intimately familiar with this image, and it comes back to you completely fresh and new.
And Austin hand drew every page of Tales of Mystery Volume 5.
That's amazing. Don't really see that a lot nowadays, do we?
Yeah, no.
I was gonna let Jenna and Will finish this out, but if you said that, so I have to come back. Dibs on some original pages.
Well,
you called dibs.
I'm Kyle, and I'm gonna put the dibs first.
Right.
Rude.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say that Austin's not gonna charge more than I could afford. dibs.
He gets first rights of refusal. Is that what it
We
is?
do have a question in here that I believe we should be able to get up from Sean as well concerning questions on input.
There you go.
Do you have any input when it comes to the covers, or do cover artists get a look at the book and do a cover based on the inspiration they get from reading?
I always give, that's a great question. I always give especially with this because it's so different, because Austin's doing the interiors, and I look at about who's going to be the person that's going to complement and accent the work of the interior artist on this project. And again, from my mind, when I knew that we were going to do a Cthulhu cover on this, Richard Lang was a gimme for me. And it's funny because when I reached out to him, he said, okay, when we negotiate, goes, but I want to be able to do what I want to do with this. I have a specific idea. And I said, what a coincidence. I do too. So what I did was I told him my idea for how to execute it. And then he just blew it away and ran with it. Same with James O'Barr. I'll never forget this. I was at Ace Comic-Con in Chicago, and James O'Barr, the Crow, who did the Crow is massive influence on me personally and professionally. It's one of the first books I read getting into comics. And I've known James O'Barr very casually throughout the years. And he's one of those guys that I get real nervous around because he's really quiet anyway. And I was like a booth barnacle at his tables in Detroit, like when I was 17, I was just hanging out there and like just watch him draw and like, I'll never forget. He was showing me pictures of the movie when it was being filmed before Brandon passed.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then like I saw him again afterwards. And but he was always very gracious to me, and me not knowing con etiquette of just standing by his table the whole time, just like, I didn't freeze. That was just me. And
who needs air when you can just look at people?
Right. Just sit there. And so I was at Ace Comic-Con when the day he decided to start painting the painting. Oh. And he's like, give me Jay mine for a layout. And I'm like, asking me for a layout idea? And I still have the piece of paper I have in the other room. And it was like, like those little notepads you get in the hotel room? I happen to have that with me. And I took out a pen and I sketched like a real simple layout of it. I took a picture of it and sent it to him. And he's like, okay. And I'm sitting there like, I'm sending layouts to James O'Barr. And then he's like, well, who would be the actor that you would have play Mr. E, which we now all know the answer to, of course. So I sent him that for reference. And and literally he was painting it, and I was sending him stuff and sending me the pictures.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just losing my mind because
you were full on fanboying is what you were doing, huh?
Just like big time. And then I'm like, I still get the painting right because I wanted to buy the original, the original painting. It's like if Jim O'Barr paint your character, But Jim just it's so funny, and I don't know if I should tell the story, but I will. So I told him the actor, and Jim sends me back the picture. Oh, I hope I'm not gonna get in trouble. But he sends me back the picture of him, and it's like him almost naked. He's like this. And I'm like, and I said, well, I can make the triple, the mystery XXX exclusive cover.
Oh, wow.
he's just busted my chops doing this, But it was so yeah. So I always try to honor where the artist is at and what they want to do. Austin's infinitely a better visual storyteller than I'll ever be, but also just have some general guidance, including on the covers. But then let them do what they're going to do.
So I have another question. What has been y'all's favorite project that you've ever worked on?
Whatever the most recent one is.
What an
perfect answer.
Trying to, there's something to be said for that. I love all my projects in different ways. How could I ever not shower so much love to Nightmare World for being the first project I ever did and being a book that's still evergreen? I still sell copies of Nightmare World at any convention I do. And I did that comic in 2003. That's a book that just still goes. We're going to be doing another printing of the book soon.
Yeah.
But then you look at Tales of Mr. Rhee, which is my passion project. If I had to work on one, if I could only write one comic for the rest of my life, that would be the one. But I just did a book with Tony freaking Schiavone, which is incredible. Hope. We haven't even talked about Haunted Highlands Volume 2, which I think in some ways is again, I always hesitate to say some of the best work I've done, but it's such a different animal, to do this horror comedy, borderline stoner comedy at time things from a straight edge guy, a guy that straight edge, quote unquote. People put that label on me. So yeah, I guess it's whatever I'm currently working on is always very exciting.
Kind of sound like an aunt, uncle, or grandparents, where like either the oldest is your favorite or the youngest is your favorite. None of the in-betweens.
Yeah. I mean, I love them all in different ways, but if I had to write one book forever, and only one, no offense to anything else I've ever done, Tales of Mr. Rhee. And again, I'm working on Hope Volume 2 right now. I'm super excited about that.
Oh, I'm so excited. I love Hope.
Oh, thank you.
Hope is a wonderful concept. I've heard me gush over Hope a lot. So here's my two-part question. Question one. If there were to be a crossover between the crew of Haunted Highlands and Tales of Mystery, how would that work? And then the second question is, what can you tell us about Hope Volume 2?
Tell me more.
I would want Austin to direct that as a music story and scripted. That's what I would want. I would literally want to work with Austin, and we did this for one of the potential stretch goals for Mystery 5. Is that Austin kind of plotted? We're doing like the Marvel method. We talked about the story idea. He drew it with no input from me, and now I'm scripting it, which I am doing, Austin. I promise. And, but for a Mystery Twisted Haunted Highlands crossover, I would want to talk to Twisted a little bit, talk to Austin, and I would love to see Austin direct a music video of that happening.
Okay.
Right? That would be amazing. Hope Volume 2, I think it's on track for the spring. Fun fact with Hope, Austin was one of the first people I pitched Hope to back in the day, and we actually have sample pages even.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
A completely different look than what it ultimately ended up being, and I love where it went. I think that was really the right call. But yeah, we've got some in the vault. There exists a completely different Hope, and maybe we'll see that someday.
Yeah.
I keep hearing about these vaults. I need to find it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do anything to it. If it's missing, don't check my house.
When we get the Hope omnibus, we can get the alternate take.
Ooh.
And with the Austin commentary.
I'll tell you, and obviously it has nothing to do with Austin not being amazing. Again, it was a situation of timing. Hope was originally kind of pitched as part of the Shadowline Who Wants to Create a Superheroine project. And Austin was my go-to for that, knowing that he was an amazing artist. And ultimately, the timing didn't work out. Austin got busy on other stuff. I got busy on other stuff. And really, what it was determined was, we needed a certain aesthetic to launch that series. And Kaylin Smith did a wonderful job launching that series with that aesthetic. Moving forward, I'm really excited about the announcements we have about Hope 2. Hope 2 is happening. I know I left people on one of the most dynamic cliffhangers of all time. And then just got really quiet. But Hope 2 is coming out. It is coming out. We're really excited to get some really cool announcements on that soon. So
it looks like Val's right there with me to go get the vault.
It's a hell of a vault, man.
You may have seen pictures of it. It's in it's sort of in Scandinavia. It's kind of built into the side of a mountain. It's got like a little it's to survive the apocalypse.
Oh yeah, definitely. Right. But will it survive Jen and Val? We'll find out.
There's a vault I would love to be able to break into for one movie. If you know, you know. I'm not gonna say the name of the film, but there's a movie that's underneath the Disney vault somewhere, buried, locked behind several steel cages that I would love to get just for the culture and because, yeah. There we go. Like I said, I put it in the title of the film.
I cleaned out my vault for going into this new con season, knowing that we're doing a year of shows in 4 months. Knock on wood. Anything goes okay. And it was kind of like, how many copies of each of my books do I really need?
All of them. All of them.
Well, see, that's what I said. But all I'm doing is building the world's coolest estate sale someday. You know. And
Why not?
so I decided on a number. Like, I'm only going to keep this many hardcovers, this many this. But I'll tell you, going through all of my work and then just peeling out, like, do I need 9 copies of this? Do I need 8 copies? No, I don't. I just need this many. A couple. And I've been offering that stuff on the road, you know, in my Dirk's Vault box. And it's been crazy finding a lot of this older stuff. And like, this is going to sound like an a-hole comment to people that maybe don't create as much as Austin and I do. And I don't know if you've ever had this experience, Austin. I found stuff I kind of forgot existed. You ever had that happen? Like, you remember it when you see it, but I'm like, oh my God, I did something in this. Maybe not a project I did personally that I shepherded, but something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I live with the work, you know, when I'm drawing it, maybe a little bit more. So it's all kind of burned into my brain. I don't forget that I did stuff exactly. But it is cool when you see something that you haven't thought about come around. Somebody sent me a picture the other day of the first newsprint floppy that I published professionally 20 years ago. They sent me a picture of him. We're like, is this you?
Was it the World is Nice box?
No, it was Hub City #1.
Oh wow!
Yeah, a whole anthology thing that I did with my friends in 1999, and they sent me a picture of it, you know, so just to confirm, is this the same person?
Was that the one with the Statue of Liberty doing the barbecue?
That's the collection. Yeah,
Okay.
I did that cover for the collection of that stuff. But all that was originally newsprint floppies that we distributed in pizza stores.
Oh, wow.
Do you have a copy of it?
What?
You have a copy of it?
I have some copies of it, very few.
Right. That was the thing I found too. I'm like, wow, I have like old self-published, self-printed, like promotional things I was given to publishers and stuff like that. That's the stuff that I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember doing this. And it just takes you back to that moment. And one thing that I've really learned in the last year and a half is, you know, I think a lot of us have had the opportunity to become different people in the last year and a half, you know, but taking the time to step back and appreciate that journey. I'm always grind, and Austin's the same way, man. I don't want to speak for you, Austin, but you know, we always grind. We always grind. And one thing I found is I would grind so hard and I would push so hard. I never stopped to just appreciate where we're at, you know. Even come back to Brave but Not Dead, you know.
Yeah.
Ringo Award nominated, I might add. Now in previews. You know, going back and doing this book last year and getting to collect these old stories. And then the fact that I got the Ringo nomination, there was a time that I would have just used that just to promote the book. Because this is a fantastic book. It's really cool. I mean, it's already almost sold out. It hasn't even come out in stores yet. And I mean, our print run's almost already gone. Just from the limited conventions we've done and people, you know, ordering it and the Kickstarter. But now it's cool to be able to take a moment and say, wow, I did one book last year and I got nominated for the second most prestigious award in comics.
Nice.
That's cool, you know. And I don't say that to brag. I'm not saying that to like backdoor humble brag, but I've just really learned to appreciate how far we've come. And like what you're talking about, Austin, with the hub, you know, it's like in 1999, you were, you know, doing newsprint pizza store distribution. Now you got films out, you know, and you've been part of successful book Kickstarters. You've done all this cool stuff, you know, Ring Award nominated, you know, or part of a Ring Award nominated book. I guess we both are in that, but it's just crazy.
Yeah. It's attrition, right? You do a little bit every day, and all of a sudden you look back and you're like, wow, that added up to quite a lot. It felt like I was doing that much, but
the old, or sorry, let me point the right way. The old spinner rack thing, you know.
Yeah.
My goal's been
a giant stack of stuff.
Well, my goal's been to fill a spinner rack with my own comics. And I don't mean like Mysteries of 4-issue miniseries 1, 2, 3, 4. No. Volume 2 Mystery takes a spot. Haunted Highlands Volume 1 takes a spot, not 6 slots worth. I want to do it legit. I don't want to do it the cheap way. I want to do it the legit way.
Okay.
And it's a situation where I've always focused on that goal, but never focused on the fact that, holy crap, I have that many books out and I'm working with so many good people and we're doing cool stuff, you know, and the support of an amazing publisher from SourcePoint Press, who now has the badges at New York Comic Con. We have 1,000 square feet at New York Comic Con.
Oh my God.
We have multiple panels, you know. I'm on 2 badges at New York Comic Con. It blows my mind. And I'm learning to step back and appreciate that, because I know there's a time when I just would have been going. So it's cool. You know, it's what a journey, and to be able to work with people like Austin and talk on podcasts like this with you guys and be part of the 6-month anniversary it's pretty cool. But most importantly, I'm glad you got copies of your first work, Austin. That's awesome. That's so important.
Yeah, that's so cool. So super awesome that we made it 6 months. And I know we've talked to Dirk a couple of times on and off, but super glad to have Austin on here. I give you the double wave again. Hi. So Dirk knows, I don't know if you know, but I'm always behind the scenes for the Facebook shows. And I'm doing this with the camera and nobody can see me.
Yeah.
Like he'll see me like in the background. It's like, bye. And he's like, nobody, they only see Miss Jen. Why?
We know where the brains behind the operation is, Jenna. We know who makes Kyle look good.
Hi, Kyle.
We have a couple of questions in the chat. Well, a question and a statement.
We have 5 minutes left. We need to make sure we let these guys do the work. So 5 minutes left. We'll start with Austin. Plug where people can find you, where they can follow you, what work you're working on, and what they need to do to support your work.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram, Flying Car Pictures, and my website's austinmckinley.com.
DirkManning.com, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. God help me, I'm still on Twitter. At Dirk Manning. Upcoming work, Buried But Not Dead. You can still get this through previews. Butts and Seats is currently in previews if you missed a Kickstarter for that. Haunted Highlands, Curse of the Green Book. I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to bust out my chromium, my chromium personal copy. This is now in preview. Not the chromium version. This was an Astronomical exclusive. Is now in previews as well, the first of 4 issues there. Support your local comic shops. If you can get to a local comic shop to support Haunted Highlands, support SourcePoint Press, support them. Please do. Austin is in Buried But Not Dead. Austin is in Butts and Seats. And then in October, we are launching the Kickstarter for Tales of Mystery Volume 5. The absolute best thing you can do to help me stay in touch with you and help the team. Go to dirkmanning.com. Sign up for the newsletter. You know, I send out a whitelist it so it actually comes to your email. I send out a newsletter once a month of the shows I'm doing, books coming out, exclusive previews. It's just a nice way to stay in touch. Things get lost on social media. I won't ever abuse the privilege of getting to send you an email once a month, but it's a nice way to stay in touch. And get back to me if you need to.
Dope.
That's it. What I got?
Cut it.
I could go all day, but that's the big stuff.
I put the link to the film in the private chat there, Kyle. I
got it downloaded. We just ran out of time to show it.
Oh, that's fine.
No, but yeah, but people can
show it.
Does Flying Car Pictures have a YouTube channel, Austin?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There you go. You can go to Flying Car Pictures channel
put
on
that
YouTube.
in the comments.
Yeah, or you can go to
the comments. People can click on it.
Yeah,
you can also find all the films through my website as well. They're all linked from there.
I recently ventured into creating a YouTube playlist. I have a YouTube channel, Dirk Manning channel. So it's youtube.com/Dirk Manning channel. I'm going to start doing original content on there at some point. But yeah, the link to the film is there as well. The Haunted Highlands, motion comic adaptations. This interview will eventually be on there. Everything. So
one day we may get the Dirk Manning podcast, and he'll be interviewing all his friends. So he'll have it on as a.
People don't want to see me that much, you know.
No, they love to hear you. That's what podcast's all about.
Well, I have a face for podcasts, so that helps. You know, as long as we're not the video.
Face, Kyle.
I say he can have Kyle on there.
I thought you said my friends.
Oh
no, Kyle! I promised I'm not going to do the heel promos anymore. I apologize. You got me with one earlier, and I got you back. Now we're done. But
yep,
that's it. I'm going to behave. I'm going to be good. I'm not going to fall into the heel.
Otherwise, Drina will kill us both. Let's be real.
That's right.
So
the boss, the editor, we didn't get our obligatory Drina Joe references in, but she's the editor on Mystery Volume 5. She's the editor on Haunted Highlands. She's the editor on Hope Volume 2, and she will kill us if we don't behave. So we try to stay in line.
Editor extraordinaire, Drina Joe.
Absolutely. I'm not just saying that so that she doesn't slice up our ankles.
You see nothing.
You've only seen Jekyll, Austin. You haven't seen Hyde. You haven't seen when she goes on a rampage about something.
I'd rather not.
It's like when a dog takes like a squeaky toy and starts biting it real fast.
Uh-huh.
Oh dear.
I think that's that's how Kyle and Will feel about me when I just start yelling at them, like they're doing an email or something. They're like, "Oh yeah, we'll get to it." I'm like, "No, do it now."
Right. No.
Jenna says now.
Yeah. I'm gonna die. This is my last podcast appearance. But I want you to know it's all been a pleasure. And if I die, just know that I talked crap to the very end. To the last moment.
So make sure to put that on your tombstone till the end.
You're like that hand that goes down in the water and then just
right.
And in the background, you hear in the arms of an angel playing.
Right. You know, one of my favorite scenes in Mystery, and I know we got to go in a second, but it was in Volume 4, when toward the climax of Volume 4, Ranibus is just kicking the hell out of Mystery. No pun intended. I mean, because Mystery's outgunned, you know, and Ranibus is like this breakout house, and he's just beating the crap out of Mystery. And Mystery, he's like hanging there, and he's dying basically. And he casts a spell on Ranibus that binds them together. And then Rhee's like closing comment is, "This way, when you die, I'll see you in hell, and we'll keep going." And he's like, and then passes. It's like my spirit animal. You know, it's like, you may have this round, but you don't have the war. We will continue this in hell. You know, so that's my guy.
Well, speaking of, we will continue this in hell. That's our time.
Okay.
For today. So I want to thank Dirk and Austin for being here and talking to us. And tell everybody to stay tuned in just about a minute. Jenna and Will be back with Alison Sampson of Sleeping Beauty and Winnebago Graveyard and so much other cool stuff. So we'll be back in just a minute here on the Experience Posted Anniversary.
back to our day one of our 6-month celebration, our post-it anniversary. This hour, we have my partner in crime, Will. Oh, that way, Will. Hey.
It's a celebration.
We're celebrating it. Woo! 6 whole months. It's so crazy. I can't believe time is just like flown by. This hour, we have somebody pretty amazing. I love all of her books. And here recently, my boss made me send pictures to her of me yelling at my computer work. So let's bring in Alison Sampson. Hey.
Hello.
Hi there.
In the building. Hello.
Welcome in.
How are you?
Doing good. So excited. I love your books. I'm trying really hard not to like gush right now. Sleeping Beauties.
Well, thank you very much for helping and being in the book.
Miss Sampson, I have a question. I see in the back there you've got some guests. You've got some teddy bears
Yes.
back there.
Yes, I'm not below having my soft toys in the picture.
All right, nothing wrong with that. I was just going to ask if they had names.
They do. It's a bit sad. I mean, I've had them. They were my dad's, and I've had them since I was very, very little. And that one is Creaky, and that one is Scratchy. I mean,
is it actually scratchy? Like. So we definitely like I am very what is the word here, flabbergasted, that it's just like I absolutely love your books so much. Like, and I guess my question is, for Sleeping Beauties, do you plan on like going even further, or is there like a certain set number that you want to do for this?
well, it's not my choice. I mean, IDW employs me, and I presume Stephen and Owen King, it comes from them, and it's the adaptation of a novel.
Yeah.
And Rio Ewers, who is another novelist, adapted it to make a script, and then I'm adapting the script into a comic, effectively. And I've got 10 issues on the books, and that's all I know about. And I'm coming right to the end of that, which I'm kind of quite glad of, to be honest. It's taken quite a long time.
Oh my
I mean, if IW asks me to draw more, then I will. But as far as I know, this is the end, because I know what happens in the script. And the thing I'm drawing right now is the kind of crucial one, which is like the last battle type thing. So there's a certain amount of winding up of the story that occurs. And so, yeah, although I'd like to draw more, I actually have other things to draw. So, glad to move on to those things.
Have you just been like sitting off to the side, like piling up while you're waiting to get like a chance to do it, or are you still working on through them?
No, I mean, I haven't got anything done really. This just takes a long time, and then when I'm not doing this, there's other things to do, like I don't clean my house. Tend to my many tropical plants. You can't see them here, but it's like just here. There's like I have like forest cactuses and things that the really big ones.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
I have the giant palm trees in my yard too, so it's a lot of work.
Nice. Yeah, I mean the thing is, I think it's quite restful. Like when I think there was a point a bit back, I had a day off, and I was like, I'm going to have a plant care day. And with tropical plants, I never do all the stuff you're supposed to do. Like, you're supposed to dust them and wipe them, and I don't do it. And so it's a whole day of kind of snipping bits off. I mean, it's really like nobody does this. And whole day set aside for snipping bits off plants and like cleaning all my plants. So yeah, that's
okay.
I kind of learned the hard way that you definitely have to keep up with that. So I'm actually in South Texas. I'm in Houston, and we never get snow and ice. And this last year we had a week of just snow and ice everywhere. So I really thought a lot of them, like the big giant ones that I couldn't get a sheet over, I was like, oh, they're dead, they're gone. Oopsie. Yeah. And then I was like, you know what? I'll just trim them back before I try to figure out how to get rid of them. And they're growing back now. And I was like, oh, well, look at that.
They do. They do. I bought my dad a banana tree, and he takes a leaf off every 3 weeks, and the leaves are like this.
Jeez Louise.
It grows like incredibly. Like, no wonder they roof houses with it. You could just have one tree and roof all your houses with it. It's like they grow a lot. So yeah, sorry, this is a comic show. We were just talking about plants. Sorry.
Well, we can talk about anything. This is about
Yes, no. Palm trees. I mean, they grow back.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question for you now. I really got invested in Sleeping Beauties primarily because, of course, our mutual friend Miss Jen was in an issue.
Yep, she's going to be in it again as well.
Okay.
I have to have another word with her because, of course, in the last issue, it's a wrap up, and everyone comes back and does a turn, kind of thing.
And so I got the chance to see that particular issue. I was fascinated not only by your way, your portraiture of people, but also the way you captured expression. So my question for you is, when it comes to your style of artwork, do you focus more on kind of a caricature approach, or do you try to be as photorealistic as possible?
To be really honest, I mean, that's not really the approach. It's like what you're trying to do is you have your script and you're like, how can I do this? So trying to be photorealistic isn't particularly helpful because that's not actually what you're trying to do. What you're trying to do is say what you're trying to say, which means you have to do whatever you have to do. And that is what is occurring. So it's not, what I'm trying to do is think, how are these people feeling? What are they doing? How does this affect them? And can I draw that? And I have a tendency to, what's the word? It's a bit like if you're cutting up something, and I'll saw it and 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 keep going. And it's like, no, it's not working. It's not working. And I'll push it and push it and push it. And then in the end, everybody's like, if that makes sense. It's, I'm not terribly good at seeing my own drawings, but seeing if something I'm trying to achieve is occurring. Mm-hmm. And I actually photograph my drawings for that purpose. If you take a photograph with your phone, you can it actually helps you see your drawings. So in answer to your question, it's really sort of neither one thing nor the other. It's like, is it doing what I want it to do?
Okay. And so it's more about the expression.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, there is a lot of dialogue in this book, like a lot, and so a lot of it is, it is very subtle stuff. I mean, it is an action book, but it's not really an action book. So a lot of it is some of the subtlety. I mean, for example, it's quite a good example. There's quite a bit about toxic masculinity, which isn't something that guys set out to have, if that makes sense. So
they don't need to be toxic about it, they just are sometimes.
Yeah, they just are. But so what? There'll be something happening in the story, and some guy will do something, and it will be, he's not a meanie. It's just happened, and there's all this kind of thought process of how he got there to do that thing, as a real person might do. Which is why it's particularly helpful to work with real people in this. And that's really subtle. It's like he does something and then there's a realization on the man's face of what he's done. And none of this it doesn't really work as caricature because this is what this happens with real people. Does this make sense? It's quite subtle. I mean, real stuff is quite subtle. Punching people is really obvious. But
the eyes are just
making some kind of personal mistake in their life, not so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard it said a lot of times. It's one thing to punch a wall; it's another thing to heal a heart.
Yes.
And so when you're trying to do that, especially in a visual medium like comics, you have to be able to portray that.
Yeah.
So, another question I have for you is, who are some artists that inspire you?
Oh, goodness. Well, as you probably know, I came quite late to this. So I'd already been working in another creative field before I came to comics. So there was a whole, but there's kind of before, there's a before times, and then there's a comics times, and and in the before times, I'll say the comics one. I mean, one of the first comics I came across was the work of Jacques Tardy, which I don't know if you know that, but he's a French he's a French cartoonist, and he does all sorts of things. He does. He's particularly known for his First World War history, because his dad fought in the First World War. But he also does crime stories and fantasy stuff and so on. And he's very good. And that, I think, probably because I came across it quite early. It's really it's extremely well observed. It's quite hard to explain without having the examples or knowing that you know what it is. But for example, he's got some guys in the south of France in a town which is by the seaside, and like the guy in the car who is sort of a villain is sitting in the car in his swimming trunks, in his Speedos, reading a Spider-Man comic, and he's in this kind of Citroen, and it's, you know, outside some kind of petrol station or something, and it's extremely French, and you can kind of think, it's like, yeah, I know, you know, I don't know this guy, but you can kind of see it. And it's like, it doesn't, it's not a caricature at all. It's the kind of thing that somebody really might do. And I can't really explain, but it's also quite odd. You know, it's like, it says something about this person. And he has a lot of that kind of thing. It's just very well observed, which means that when he comes to action or fight scenes or whatever, it's, they have a real edge on American comics. You know, there's in that same book I'm thinking of, which is West Coast Blues, which is a crime story he's done. In that same book, there is a fight in the sea, actually just after this scene that I've talked about, and it's horrible. And you know, and there's people grabbing people's hair and pushing their faces in the water and pushing each other over. And unlike, say, some of your more stereotyped American comics where, you know, it's punching, it's just nasty, and it's somehow quite real. So no, Jacques Tardy, his war stories are a much more clear way of describing that. Well, I don't really need to say, but the horror of the First World War, he goes there, like really goes there. And it's, you know, if you ask me about a horror book, those are horror books.
Okay.
Like, yeah. Is there any like other type of like things like that just like around you, like your plants or like your teddies, all of them? Is that sort of like kind of where you draw inspiration also for some of the art that you do? Is it just like,
yeah, I mean I have loads of stuff. What do I do? I mean, I think when you make comics, you're kind of a product of everything in your life that has come before, like everything. Like, you know, maybe you've had a weird job and you're a product of that as well. So does this make sense? So all the things you've done, all the strange jobs and the holidays and the trips and the people you've met and the things you have in your house and, you know, things you like, and out of all of these things, we like spin a thread of our kind of what we do, if that makes sense. You know, so for example,
yeah, I definitely get it.
You know, I used to work as a 20th century conservation specialist. You know, I'd go around like not terribly old buildings and deal with their conservation, and even stuff like that works its way into the books. Or you know, I don't know, what have I been drawing lately? I've been drawing a cover for something which you're going to get to know about.
Okay.
It's not announced yet. And in drawing it, you know, I feel myself, you kind of go, how do I approach this thing? And it's a product of things that I know about. You know, it's a product of some of my knowledge of art history and my reading, and I won't say it's a period piece, but I'm not old enough to remember this period, and it's also not something that sits within my experience, but it sits closer to my experience than a lot of people. And it's like you're thinking, what can I do what can I pull from my life and my knowledge to do this? And I think all that kind of stuff is really, really helpful. That if you have a wide range of experiences, you can bring them in. I mean, for example, my uncle, who is my dad's brother, used to live in Hong Kong. He lived in Southeast Asia for a very long time, and so when I say think of the Far East, I think of his house and how he lived. I mean, his wife was Chinese, and she'd go out and play mahjong every day, and he'd eat street food, and it wasn't a particularly privileged life he had. And so all of these things that are in your life feed into your work, and that's how I see it. I mean, I actually do have I have a range of projects which are, how you cast out your lines. I have a range of projects, and one of them is set in Hong Kong. And so I will, when it comes to that, I will draw on my understanding of this bit of my family's life, what their life was like, and what they did and what they thought. My Chinese auntie was not what's the word? She was very Chinese, is a way of putting it. She didn't conform. Yeah. So
sounds like an interesting bit of history there in that, and a lot of appreciation in that history as well. So you mentioned, of course, Sleeping Beauties is wrapping up, and you're working on some other projects. Would you like to share some of those projects with us at this point?
I kind of can't at the moment, but I kind of can also, because none of them have been announced.
All right.
So at the moment, and this is on my desk, I mean, basically with Sleeping Beauties, I'm wrapping it up, and I've got a relatively long, well, it's not relatively long, but I've got myself ahead a bit. And so I'm going to draw an issue of somebody else's comic. And I have to say, I am delighted, absolutely delighted to draw this comic, because it is not only is it the creator and project of a friend, but it's also a creator and project where the door has been opened for genuine artistic expression, which actually has not really happened that much. Right. And for that, with those two things, you might be able to guess what it is. And it's not announced. I've just knocked the cover on the head just before we went on air. So there's that. Very, very excited about that. You will know about that. I'll tell Jen, or I'll tell you after, or something. It's going to come your way. And then when all that's done and Sleeping Beauties is done, I've got an issue of Hellboy, which I am very excited about. And that has been cooking for absolutely ages. I mean, I couldn't tell anybody till Dark was announced it, but honestly, I've had it on the books for like 3 years or something. Well, no, not quite that long, but what with pandemic and stuff and everything's a bit slowed down, it's been queued up, and now I've got around to it. I'm going to do it. So, Sleeping Beauties, and that will be over Christmas. I'm not quite sure how long it's going to take. I think. I don't quite know what their process is, if that makes sense. How long does a Mignola project take? It's like maybe longer. That's what I'm thinking.
Your part.
Sorry?
Just worry about your part, and then it goes.
Yeah, I will. I've got this thing to do. It's going to need to be done. I will do it. And if they really want to, give me lots of notes or whatever, then that's the way it goes. So I've got that, and then I've got another creator in series, which is my series, and I've probably had this conversation with somebody before, but the clue is in this image. And yeah.
So it's going to be a story about teddy bears fighting in a war.
No, nobody know if it's not. Or actually, it might be. It's
It's not, but maybe.
I think if you get the clue, you will understand my response to that.
I'm so blind.
Oh, it's right there.
Yeah, I'm trying to see
There's
stuff.
not that much
All I
comic
see is
stuff
bears.
in this image.
Oh man, it's gonna be so funny. We're gonna go back and watch it later and be like, "Oh, there it is." Aha.
Yeah, no, it's so I have an image series written by another artist to draw. He's already written it. I've got the script.
Okay.
And that is going to be quite demanding, and a high standard is expected from me. And yeah, that will be cool. I'm very much looking forward to that. I mean, you know, everybody, it's one thing kind of guesting on somebody else's series where they've had an opportunity to do all sorts of fun stuff. But, you know, it's another thing having your own.
Yeah.
So that I will start in the spring. And then after that, I haven't booked anything. I mean, I might. I mean, I've got bits of this and that, but like...
need to take a day or two with the plants, right?
Yeah. I have to plant a cabbage tree in my garden. I've got so much to do. The end of the growing season is here, and it's like, you know,
don't remind me.
Get that tree in the ground now. I think I'm going to have to go to bed early tonight and get up at like 5 a.m. and go into the garden just for a big hole or something.
I can see it now. Somewhere in your house, somewhere that you look, maybe on your mirror in your restroom, you're going to have a sign that says, "Get that tree planted now."
Put a little post-it note on there, just like tree.
Yeah. Now I think about it every day. It's just kind of like the comics take so long. But yeah, no, the cabbage tree has to be planted, and you know what they're like. They're the ones which are like a big pom-pom on a stick.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I've got a magnolia clipping from a magnolia tree out in the old ranch that I grew up on. So trying to find the right spot for that.
Snails love those. I think one snail ate my entire magnolia tree. Overnight.
Right.
One snail, one night. Like,
I'm hugging you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's just not a buffet.
Get your snail protection up, because it's like, God, they love those things.
Oh,
yeah, it was like filigree lace, nearly the whole thing. It must have gone absolutely crazy. I'm sure it was just one snail. Yeah, no, I was kind of horrified.
Oh no.
So, Miss Sampson, you mentioned about how you have a lot of pressure on you for your creator-owned project. Just as a person looking at your artwork, first of all, I understand when you place a high level of stuff on yourself as far as what's expected, but then also other people seeing your artwork and doing that and expecting that as well. And I believe you'll do fine based on what I've already seen of your work. So just I want to compliment that, first of all. Secondly, you mentioned Hellboy, you mentioned doing artwork for that. What is a series or a book that you would love to do art for that you haven't had a chance to do art for yet?
Weirdly, it is the series that I'm going to do art for, which I haven't done art for yet. It is, I have actually got asked to do the exact thing that I wanted to do. Yeah, I know, quite. And also, I've got to do the thing in it that I wanted to do. I am very, very lucky with projects. A lot of artists complain that people write to them and ask them to draw their books, and it's really unsuitable and all of that. And everything pretty much I get asked to do is really suitable. I don't get a lot of requests, but what I do get is absolutely spot on. That they have thought about it. That that I am the right person, and this one is. I will say I don't think it does any harm to say it is the drugs issue. which
Okay.
not that I know a lot about that kind of stuff, but some of it's quite fun to draw.
We were all young once. It happens.
No, this is the kind of stuff I've never taken, and probably a lot of people won't. Actually, nobody will. Let's face it. It's not that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that actually does not sell it very well. But it's actually it's something of an art gift, something like that.
Okay.
It's not, where Sleeping Beauties is all like, I was going to say Sleeping Beauties feels sometimes like it's just about people dying on the floor. This one, not so much. In terms of other things I'd like to do, I would, oh goodness. I think the thing is with Marvel and DC, there's things I've wanted to draw and I've more or less given up on being asked. That makes sense. Marvel periodically asks me to do things, and I think they've asked me four times or something, and each time the timing hasn't been okay. Like I've been doing something else, and there is things I'd like to do, but I would really like to draw the Fantastic Four. Actually, Kitchen Sink Fantastic Four.
Oh my goodness.
Fantastic Four having breakfast. Fantastic Four arguing. What the heck is Sue Storm doing? It's like so underutilized.
Yeah.
Really cool powers, massively underutilized. Wife of scientist. What rubbish? Give us some stuff to do.
Yeah.
Make a chase after these kids.
Yes. Like everyday life.
Franklin Richards goes out clubbing. You're not going out dressed like that.
Wow.
You could do anything with this stuff.
Yeah.
Including the superpowers. It's kind of like just take all the cool stuff that they do and add a layer of you're not going out dressed like that on top of it.
We need a Fantastic Four story where Val's going off to college.
Oh yeah.
That is actually the one that what I really, really want to draw, and I've kind of you can't pitch to Marvel if you're not asked, so I haven't pitched it. But kind of it's Valeria Richards, How to Be Bad. Valeria Richards on her own, has a whole thing. Yeah, Valeria Richards going off to college. What a nightmare. What an absolute nightmare for somebody. Yeah. Oh, everybody actually.
And Sue is Reed is doing what Reed does, and he's super self-absorbed, and he's kind of oblivious to things. And so Sue's just I'll take you. We're getting in the car, we're going. Johnny flies up and tries to catch up with her at one point, and of course she's all I just want this to be normal. I don't want this to be a whole powers thing.
Yeah.
But then there's stuff that goes on at campus, and Sue's in the background. Because apparently at some point in the comics recently, Sue Storm did spy work for S.H.I.E.L.D. at some point.
What?
Which I'm kind of so bring that back. Let's continue to investigate that thing. Because I'm kind of interested in Sue Storm Super Spy.
There's just, Invisible Woman. There is so much. Underused. Totally underused. Not even really dealt with as a person, almost. Wife of somebody else, mother of somebody else.
Yeah. Never just her.
Just give her, And she's got opinions, she's got powers, she's got kids.
Yeah.
She's got actually a really annoying husband and some guy who sets fire to shit and, some other guy who can't fit through doors and and he scratches the paintwork all the time. And
somebody let her take a nap. Let her have a minute. Just let her be.
I'm kind of a fan of Ben Grimm mainly because he's kind of the gentle giant. He doesn't always fit through doors. I'm not a small guy. Sometimes I am the bull in the counter shop, but I don't try to be the bull in the counter shop. I try to, pardon me, excuse me. And
imagine him helping Valeria move into college. Excuse me.
Oh, sorry, guys.
It's right there.
Yeah.
So I would very much. I mean, that one can just run and run and run. Unfortunately, I mean, the Fantastic Four, I believe, is a top level thing for Marvel, and minions such as me do not get nice things. Which is when I said I've sort of given up asking, But I would really, really, Marvel, if you're listening, let me pitch a graphic novel of this. I will write and draw it myself. And
Fantastic Four, Val goes to college.
Fantastic Four, yeah.
Every day.
Val and friends. I mean, frankly, once she's away from home, it's like,
And then just for fun, for some reason, Doctor Doom shows up.
Well, I think the thing is this is when I say about Valeria Richards, How to Be Bad. It's kind of like, it would be really nice, and this would be the the crux of what I would want to do. Is it would be really nice to have a thing about a teenager just testing these boundaries,
Just being,
and maybe her boundaries are a bit further out than some other people's,
Yeah.
And as I say, Doom comes along and it's like, how do you deal? Maybe she's going to go along with it.
Oh,
I
can even imagine what that would be like. So I had my 13-year-old and my 15-year-old nieces lived for me for a couple of years, and they were always trying to test it. And I would always have to put them back in their place. I can't even imagine that with powers. Like,
yeah. You're not going to win.
Pray for these children.
You're not going to win, which means that I mean like they would have the upper hand, and or they would find a way of having the upper hand, and that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
If you think about it, if you think maybe a teenager is reading this, it would be kind of great.
Oh,
that they actually did have they could get the upper hand in some way.
Don't give them ideas. Come on, man.
I'm right. I'm like, it's right there.
Yeah.
And Valeria Richards, teenage flipping nightmare. That is. I mean, I have been talking about wanting to do this book for years, and I will. Well, I was going to say I'll politely wait. It's like I would really like somebody else not to draw it before I get to it, but kind of, So
share it to everybody, somebody get it to Marvel ASAP.
Yeah, no, I will write it myself if necessary.
And see, now what you can do is you can create your own. You can create your own family with powers and basically do that story. But you just would have to make sure that they weren't the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Well, there is that. I would kind of, what people like me tend to think about is you think about somebody like Marvel and you think, what can I do for you? And this is why, you think about it. What can I do for you? And you think, what can I do? What do you have? What might work? And this is one of those answers, which is why I haven't attached it to anybody else particularly. This is, there's an amount of things I could do for Marvel. There's probably more things I could do for Marvel than I think I could do, I would imagine. But, anyway, it's sort of, I have to get around to being asked. And DC, I really enjoy a lot of their comics. I mean things like, I actually quite like a lot of the plant ones. There's actually a surprising amount of them.
Yeah,
like Poison Ivy,
something, all this kind of stuff. And I like that kind. I like these slightly weird, naturey ones.
Oh man,
I definitely like what they did with their own like little plant, like utopia that they had at the end of Deceased, and then the second series of Deceased where they had. So, like, Poison Ivy and them didn't want to leave, so they made their own utopia of just Poison Ivy's plants. And I loved that so much, just getting to see the inner workings of that. I was like, oh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's kind of... I can't quite... I think it's because it would be interesting for the art. I think that's probably what the appeal is. It's like there's many, many people who can draw Batman punching somebody, or indeed draw Batman. But it's kind of some of these ones. The art is very appealing, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm not particularly queuing up to draw Batman, but I would absolutely not say no to Swamp Thing, say, or also Sandman stuff. Yeah, I would draw that. And absolutely, I mean, you know, some really, really enjoyable stuff to do with these things. And like I say, you know, there's also a very large queue of artists waiting. So no.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we talked a little bit about things you'd like to do, things you'd like to go through, and you mentioned that you were working on a creator-owned project that someone else wrote, and you're doing the artwork for, correct?
Yep, that's correct.
So now here's a question: you talked about writing the Fantastic Four story and everything, and doing the art for that. If you could create your own project of some kind, writing, art, everything, and I mean, you don't have to necessarily do the art. You could get a friend to do it. You know, it depends on, you know, of course, who you know you'd want to get it done. You said, I want to write this. I want to give this to this person to do the illustration for. What kind of story would you create?
Well, I mean, I think I haven't thought a great deal about this. I think there is actually a project. Start again. The way I would approach this is there would be an artist, and I would think, do I have anything for them, as opposed to I have a thing who could draw it. I would probably work the other way, and because you get an understanding of what fitted. So, do you know Z Bernay? He did a Kickstarter book called Andromeda. He does these He does these pen and ink drawings. You probably know him. You'll recognise the work. And there was a story that was originally going to be the first comic I made. When I started making comics, I had decided to take a sabbatical to draw this comic, which was about historical stuff where I'm from in England. I'm basically from Viking England. I'm from the northeast coast.
Okay.
And when the Vikings came, that's where they settled. That's where they had battles, and that's where they settled. And consequently, all the places are like Viking places, and lots of people are descended from the Vikings. And we're very, very familiar with the local history. And I had wanted to do a comic which was another teenage story set in this environment. And I had effectively decided that I was going to take a sabbatical from my job, and I was going to take, 4 months off, and I was going to draw this comic. And then what happened is somebody rang me up and said, will you draw my graphic novel? And I did that instead. And consequently, this comic has never been drawn, although I look at it periodically and think, oh, I should do that. But actually, seeing Z's work, he is much more appropriate to draw the comic, because it's kind of in his ballpark already. And although he's Portuguese and he does not know anything about it, he could still draw it. And so that's a conversation I actually want to have, because I think that's fairly kind of solid. That we've kind of mentioned it extremely in passing, but like that is actually a thing that I would quite like to do. Otherwise, writing for other people, I haven't got anything at the moment. I would probably really, I don't know. I would probably prefer to write for myself, I think. I mean, asking somebody else to draw what you're asking for, I think that's a very different head on the shoulders. You know, that's writing a completely different story. And when I think about it, all the stories that I think of, and I do think of stories, they're all kind of tailored to my interests. You know, it's like, yeah, I do have another one about gardening as well. You know, so I don't know. I read quite a lot of prose, and I kind of prefer. I don't know, how can I put this? I don't think I'm as good a writer as a lot of the prose I read, and I would probably say, I'm going to leave it to the better writer. That said, the prose writers I read are not the comic writers. They're generally a lot better. So I don't know where that is. The other angle on that, of course, is finding a prose writer to write my comic, and I've also done that. It's like I have read things and thought this person would be absolutely brilliant writing a comic, and I've approached them and they've written a comic.
That's dope.
It is. It really is, because that is going to make a different kind of story where we read comics made by people who can get through that door, which is actually a narrow thread of people writing actually for a narrow thread of people, when in fact there's a lot more to read. I mean, I don't know if you read any fan fiction, but like the whole point of fan fiction is people, the whole point of fan fiction is people writing things that they actually want to read, and there's an awful lot of it.
Yeah. There's every type of fan fiction out there at this point in age.
Yeah. So there's it's quite clear if you see any fan fiction at all that there is an awful lot of stuff that is going unwritten.
Yeah. And sometimes that fan fiction is a little bit better than the story that they're based off of. It's rare, but it does happen.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. There's a fan fiction writer. I don't really talk to that many fan fiction writers. There's a fan fiction writer I actually follow on Twitter, and who is pretty much. How can I put this? In the Loki series, he wrote stuff and he kind of managed to get that characterization spot on before the series came out. So that's the kind of writing that he does. And he's really, I know he's a published novelist, and he's really interesting. So it's kind of like, he's pretty much writing MCU stuff, which is not making it into the films, which is really weird.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's somebody who's, a successful writer who has the characters pegged in that way. So it's quite a weird thing seeing stuff like that, where you have a sense that this could be in the MCU and it isn't.
You're like, why wasn't this here? Why? Yeah.
But like my main point being, though, that if you look at fan fiction, you get an understanding of the breadth of work that isn't being written, and then you see what is being written, which is such a narrow amount of it, and you think, well, I don't even really know where to begin with this.
Well, I know for the MCU, there's so much from the comics that aren't put into the movies. Now there's more fan fiction that's not put in the movies, and I'm like, you know what? Everything just needs to be 50 episodes of TV shows so we can get everything.
Yeah, I have to say, some of the fan fiction I read is extremely slow, and I'm not entirely sure it will make good TV, but okay. No, I mean, it's in these pandemic times, it's like reading prose has been great. Comics are wonderful, but reading prose is a fantastic escape. Comics gives it to you right there.
Yeah.
But prose takes you somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it has been nice to. I have made time during the pandemic to read, which is not something I've been doing a lot of. When you're dealing with comics, you're reading comics.
Yeah.
And I hadn't read a lot of prose in quite a long time, and I had realised that my concentration levels were through the floor. Where I have to teach myself just to sit and read a book.
Yeah. I like to put in headphones so that we have music, so I have that like background to it. Yeah. And as I'm reading a book or reading a comic, I'm like, oh, I want to put on this playlist. Let's put on this playlist. So that way it really gets you into it. And it's very fun to do that. I have about 100 different playlists on my phones where I'm like, this is going to be an action book or an action comic. Let's play that one. This one is Lord of the Rings. Of course, I'm going to play this soundtrack.
That is something I have to. I actually haven't done that, but having a soundtrack to my comic reading is something that it's a no-brainer. Of course, of course, I should. I mean, I do have music when I'm drawing. I mean, with Sleeping Beauties, I've had a whole kind of range of American folk music, or not entirely American folk music, but just finding out about people, their families, and sometimes quite sort of unknown people, you know, often playing acoustic instruments and singing or sometimes just singing unaccompanied. And that has been great.
It's the best way that I found new artists through, because I was like, oh, JD McPherson, sure, I want to try you. And it's a nowadays band that sounds like they're in the 40s and 50s. Yeah. And in the video, he's sitting there playing his cello while somebody else playing the guitar. And it's just like, oh, I like this. How come I didn't find this before?
Yeah, and this is, I don't know if you know Tiny Desk concerts. You've seen Tiny Desk is just like perfect for this. If you Google
Tiny, make a note of it.
Yeah, and it's I think it might be NPR regular. I don't think they've been able to do it, but they invite people into their office to play a short gig in this tiny room, with just in their office where they work, and they're really good. But because of the nature of the space, you know, there's basically room for 3 people to stand up. Kind of. It's necessarily very, very stripped down, and also because of the nature of the thing, they can only have a certain kind of artist, and that is very appropriate to this kind of thing. So, yeah, I've been enjoying a lot of really interesting sort of. I'm not entirely sure where they're all from, but more or less, kind of Appalachia, Georgia, Texas, North Carolina, the sort of certain kind of music.
Yeah, sort of the folky Southern music. Oh my goodness, folky Southern music. Sometimes it speaks to your soul in such a different way than some of this other music that you can hear.
Yeah.
And growing up in South Texas, it's just like I always forget this isn't something that everybody has heard. Where we could walk down the boardwalk in Galveston, there would be a band right there on the corner, you know, just playing their instruments and singing, is not everywhere.
No.
That sometimes.
No, I mean absolutely not. I mean we have a lot of buskers in London, and because the buskers in London have to be licensed, they're very, very good. We actually don't have crap buskers anymore because there's too much competition for the pictures.
Oh, okay.
I think actually they have to audition for it, but like the buskers are all very, very good.
Oh,
but we don't have, in my opinion, we don't have really interesting music. We don't have this kind of thing where somebody's made up a song in his house.
I can't agree with you on that, because the only time that I was ever in England, we did the whole punk thing. We went to all the different, like, sort of, they weren't really underground, but you would have to walk downstairs, and it was punk. Like, it was just punk, and it was like punk since the 70s, and that's where all the greatest punk has come from, was there. So, like, it just depends on which scene you're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of really. I mean, there is a good club scene, but I am not necessarily in it.
I know I don't look it, but I am older than this.
Yeah. I mean, I have done it, but at the moment, nah. I mean, it's kind of like I've been to stuff, and you're kind of like,
yeah, I'm done now.
Yeah.
As I've gotten older, I just look it up now and play in the background. And I'm like, there we go, Flogging Molly done. I just stay home. I don't have to put on clothes and stuff and go to a place.
Yeah, well, not that we've been going anywhere lately.
Yeah,
although conventions are starting up again. I have 2 conventions. Unfortunately, I'm not coming over to New York, which is something I very much wanted to do. I mean, I like New York Comic Con. It's kind of busy.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard work, really busy.
Yeah.
And if your table is reasonably well positioned, you can sell quite a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And you have a long time to sell it as well. I think it's something like 38 hours of retail over 4 days.
Yeah. it's something very similar.
Yeah.
So I do have a question. How do cons vary from where you're at to the ones that we have over here? Like, is there one you like better, or is it sort of they kind of run the same way?
Oh no, they're all very, very different. I like a lot of cons. I mean, I tend to go to, every con I go to, I tend to like, because they're hard work, and you're not going to do this unless you want to do it.
Yeah.
And which cons do I like? I've enjoyed every American con I've been to. I've liked for different reasons. Like Chicago, we've eaten both the best and worst food in my life and the best food in Chicago. I think I had something I've had some strange mystery meat there, which I'm not even going
Come to Texas, we'll show you strange meat. We have things like boudin, and we got things like gator and snake and armadillo.
I've had that. Not the only people to serve snake or crocodile. No, I would. I mean, I like, when am I coming over? So I mean, it's possible.
Like a giant mean gumbo when people come over.
I looked at one of these tests where it was a whole list of southern foods, and it's like, how southern are you? Now, how many of these foods have you had? And I was like, I think I'd had 3 out of about 40. It was really pathetic. Like, I think I'd had shrimp and grits, which I like a lot.
Yes.
But I mean, it's tremendously bad for you.
We need to fix that. Next time you're down here, let me know, and I'll make you one of my giant pots of gumbo. I actually got the recipe from a mama who actually grew up in the swamps of Louisiana. So we'll definitely have to show you that way. All right, so we've only got about like 5 minutes left. Do you have anything you wanted to mention that's coming up, or any social medias that you want to drop for us? We can follow you?
So things that are coming up, or things that have already happened. Talking about very quickly about Sleeping Beauties. It's coming out. It's come out in 2 volumes. So the first volume came out in April. And that's a little hardback, which you can just get anywhere pretty much, or people should ask for that, and it's really good. And that's the first half of the book, and then the second half of the book is they haven't told me, but I would imagine it's got to be early spring. I mean, I don't. They do not share dates at all with me, so I do not know. But there is going to be a second half of Sleeping Beauties, which is going to be even better than the first half, and obviously kind of useful because it's the same story. And that will be that should be orderable now. And so that's the main thing I'm doing. And then the other thing I'm doing, which is the comic, which is I'm guesting on somebody's series, that must be right on the verge of being announced because my deadline for the cover is like tomorrow or something.
Yes. So, and where can we follow you on all of your social media?
And my social media is I'm Alison. That's ALIS_SANP on Twitter, which reasonably chatty. Yeah. And I'm on Instagram at alison.sampson. That's with Sampson with a P. And I'm on Facebook. And if you Google me on Facebook, you find that. And it's not a private Facebook, so I'm there. I always forget my special code on that. And what else? And I have a website which is linked on my Twitter. I mean, basically everything is linked on my Twitter, and I post art there. And that's what's going on. So basically, it's been a long period of production, which is something we have to do. We basically have to go into our houses, shut the door, and do the work.
Yeah,
I've had quite a long period of production.
Your music, your headphones, and just go. Yes.
Yeah. So I've got, you can't see here, but there's a big stack of boxes here, which is all the books I have for conventions. So it's like, and I don't know, if you have an interesting convention near you, tell me, and maybe I want to come over. Ask me to your convention.
I have to have Miss Jen.
It's something. It's something I need to sort out. We need to have plans, There's been no plans. Now we need plans.
It's a little fascinating. The experience, we're literally everywhere. I'm in Texas. Kyle's in Ohio. I think, Will, you're in where? Kentucky?
Kentucky, yes.
Yeah. We have somebody else who's in Florida. Somebody else. We're all over. So no matter what con you go to, I'm sure you could bump into one of us.
Yep. I'm absolutely sure. I mean, and everybody goes. Things like New York, a lot of people go to that. So it would be nice I'm looking forward to coming over and seeing people and going on the train, which I like a lot, and eating loads of your food and listening to your music. and having a big old catch up. And frankly, I really miss that. So thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Well, we had so much fun. We want to give you a big thank you. And don't go away, anybody. We do have a special double feature where we're going to have Rodney and Sean next. Don't forget to refresh your page. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.